Tonight, I am honored to introduce two women that no one has been willing to try to do, and that is flip Chicago red. I met Zoe and Danielle Carter at an event in Elk Grove about a year and a half ago. And I went up to them and said, what can I do to help you? Who doesn't want to help flip Chicago red? Right? Right. Everyone. So we started talking, we were on Zoom calls, and no one in this audience has any idea what they face on a daily basis. Right. And I think some of the people at our table in the conversations learned tonight what they're facing. So about in the fall last year, they asked me to participate in a press conference in the city. Now, mind you, I live in the suburbs. Going to the city is a big step for me to go down. But I was going to do whatever I could do to help them. So I get in my car and say, we're going to do this. And so off I go. When I arrived, there was about 10 of us standing by the river. There was a fence. And shortly after, and the fence is right up against the river. So you can picture, my back is right on the fence. So a gentleman, wasn't very gentlemanly, comes out to us and says, you are not allowed to go on our property. And so I looked at him and said, so where is your property? Now the building, he's the building manager, and it's about half a football field away. And he said, it ends at the sidewalk, which is a half of a football field away. And there's 10 of us. We're going to really go on their property. And he says, by the way, can't use our bathrooms. You can't come in the building, and on and on. And we said, okay, sir, we'll be happy to abide by that. Then as time comes on, there ends up to be about 30 of us, I think, there. And there's 15 police officers because we're so disruptive. Yeah. So then we start and we do our presentation and each of us speak. And as the day at that time, it was very peaceful, no issues. But that was what, in the meantime, Zoe, after this gentleman, the property manager, leaves, Zoe says, they can't tell us what to do. We are on public property. And she starts explaining, the tracks are here and this is why this is. And I'm like, this girl knows what she's talking about. And so I said, at the time, I'm thinking, wow, this is what they face day in and day out. We have no idea. We think we have to deal with the Democrats at the county board and a few other places. Wow, this is something else. So that being said, the good news is they've gotten President Trump's attention. And we need to thank them for all the work that they're doing to help us, the party here in the state. So with that, please join me in welcoming two women working hard, so hard, to flip Chicago red, Zoe and Danny.
I'm going to introduce, so these are 4 members that all started together. So as I say, well, who are the original? These are the original. Awesome. So, Johnson, I'm going to let our man lead, and then we'll follow.
We need more families. We need more individuals to come out of the stands and get on the field. You don't have to play in the game. You just have to help the team. So whether if you're following CFR on any social media platforms, hitting the like, doing retweet, whether if you're doing donations, we need your help. The red hats, Zoe Lee and Danny Carter.
Hello, 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 my beautiful Americans.
Yes.
I want to thank you all for always encouraging us. That means a lot to us, for your donations, because this is how we do.
My father, and this fight was personal because it's my mother. Jesus wept. So I know those two things for sure. We need to flip Chicago red, and we are. We are going to flip Chicago red.
Yes, we are.
Now, a lot of people send me stuff all day about what people say about us. I do not care. I don't. I am a family-oriented person. I also understand that we are different. Our culture is going to always be different. It's going to be different. We're all Americans, but we're different. So things that we may do in Chicago, and you guys don't understand, is because look what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a group of illiterate people, politically illiterate people, who only vote one way, and then get mad at you for voting the way you want to vote. Yeah, so you have to deal with that on top of the lies, on top of people really just don't know anything. Like, we're dealing with a bunch of retards. I'm sorry.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the #2 population for 400 years. You're gonna get kicked out of being #2, you're gonna go down and become #4. Now, common sense, even a 3rd grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were #2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become #4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Now, this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives.
Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, bringing you those Black American Negro Freedmen hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for deportation, making the case for delineation, and making the case for the weaponization of our votes, socialization of our suffering. How y'all doing, family? I see you, BANF in class early. Thank you so very much for keeping the chat lit. And for those of you who want to be amongst my co-hosts in the chat, you must join us over here on ScrewTube. Thank you one and all for joining me in this very important follow-up to my live last week with the illustrious Mama Doris, the illustrious Son Powell from Capital Accountability Project, to the illustrious Arthur Ward, Chicago Freedmen. I want to go over with you the election results. I want for you to hear from the illustrious Dr. Pamela Denise Long and Mama Doris on Martin's broadcast. I didn't get permission like I had hoped to air his video, and he's all over his video. So I'm going to have an image up. And it's going to be more podcast style. You're not going to be able to see them. They called in anyway, so they're not on the broadcast of his, but he is all over it. You know, the camera just stays on for him. So I'm going to be sharing that live momentarily. What I was sharing with you earlier was a clip it from Chicago Flips Red over here, mooning and shining and cooning for the YT people live at a Lincoln 250 Gala in Kane County GOP event 2026. And I was trying to, with my limited capabilities over here, just jump to the most important points because my live that I'm going to share the broadcast of, I want to weigh in. I've sped it up just a little bit so we can try to get through it faster. But it's already 2 hours on that one. But it's very important that I share that with you because no one can share with you the undermining and the sabotage of the Negroes by the Chicago Flip Red flipping out for non-reparationist candidates all up and down the ticket. And I know that Mama Doris's issue is with Zoe. My issue is with Chicago Flip Red weaponizing our never-ending Holocaust at the city council meetings, getting all of us rallied behind and pushing them and pushing Flip Red for Chicago. I even thought about doing a Flip Red for California and joining it, locking arms with them to get it done out here. I've heard others in Philadelphia. This movement that they co-opted from P. Ray Easley of Chicago Red, and I don't take issue with that. If you want to go off and do your own thing, I understand that. I mean, hell, the former ADOS movement did the same thing when Yvette Carnell wanted to come in and take all of our intellectual property back from us and whatever came with what we built. And so we've gone off to do our own things. When you don't see eye to eye, sure, go off and do your thing. But what you will not do is NAACP us. What you will not do is National Urban League us. We're not doing that no more. No longer. You see, the contemporary grassroots reparations movement is on tangibles. Lineage-based cash reparations, or what Dr. Denise Long was offering, lineage-based investment, and I'm going to let her brilliantly explain her position on that. We're looking for anti-Negro, anti-Black hate crime bills akin to what they've given to every other group who have a modicum of the hate leveled at them. And oh, by the way, the hate leveled at them is majority white folks, not the Negro. And we want an end to qualified immunity. It should not be okay for these DemonRATS to be in full support of upending ICE and not upending the race soldiers in our own communities, annihilating us with impunity. That's what we're not doing. So no, Chicago flips red. Y'all were the ones to endorse all them non-reparations candidates up and down the ticket. Y'all are the ones out here pushing vote reparations and vote REPUGNIKKLANS, excuse me, and worry about your tangibles in the by and by. What is different about what y'all doing as compared to what the DemonRATS have been doing to us for 70 years, all the way to the bottom of this Titanic? There is no difference between those two agendas. That's why my little image reads, Chicago flips red. Negroes ain't trading the DemonRAT plantation for the REPUGNIKKLANS plantation. We own tangibles. No different than any other group in the country our ancestors built with their lives. They are allowed to champion for their own interests. They are allowed, with the help of the government, to defraud our cities, especially the demon-radically ran ones, where we still have a little bit of margin. We've lost the war out here, as I've told y'all many times, okay? But we got a little bit of margin in some of these other places where the DemonRATS are running it and helping to defraud us of our reparations, taxes, and Social Security to ethnically cleanse us with our own damn vote. And now you got Chicago flip red, flipping on the Negro after leveraging our Holocaust at these city council meetings to get in bed with these white folks. And as you heard Danny say, they got in bed with these white folks who are donating and supporting them. So who do you think they are going to work for? They are not even a nonprofit. This is an LLC. What is different from their blueprint for the Negro and our ethnocide than the DemonRATS? Can somebody explain that to me in the chat? There is no difference. Both parties suck for the Negro. What I was pushing was a protest vote for deportation, closed borders. And here they are, after endorsing Dr. Long, flipping out for a Mormon white woman who didn't have any tangibles, didn't have an agenda, but for the one that Zoe handed from Dr. Long, from her own platform, to give this woman who ain't never seen us, don't know us, ain't been there for us, Dr. Long's blueprint to help this woman win twice as many votes than Dr. Long. We're going to get into it. So I wanted to just share with you snippets of it because I'm not here to promote them. I'm just here to get to the point. I'm just here to show you the betrayal. Last week, I showed you at the top of the broadcast how they were in full support of Dr. Pamela Denise Long. And then they made the flip because now we hear They've been lining y'all's pockets, your LLC, Chicago Flips Red, with donations. They've been supporting y'all. And then the unmitigated gall of Zoe to call us politically illiterate, to call us retards when she just got here. And as you saw, she was here for her mama's house. She ain't been at this even as long as the contemporary grassroots reparations movement has been at it since the end of Obama's second term, after we niggardly elected him a second time. So you just get here and you are literally trying to dupe the Negroes of Chicago to turn out the vote for a white Mormon non-reparationist after being with and for Dr. Pamela Denise Long on your own famous Friday broadcast, of which I showed y'all at the top of the broadcast last week how much they were in support. So you go from being all about reparations to supporting a whole ticket of non-reparationist candidates. I'm going to try to find that image while the longer video plays so I can flash that and have it memorialized in this video tonight. But this is what they did. And you expect to leverage the political ignorance of your collective, our collective in Chicago, for your comeuppance because Trump said something about you, because he called y'all good-looking women. You're willing to throw the entire Negro collective away because Trump gave y'all a shout out and these white folks are lining your pockets. But you expect the black vote. What is different about that than the DemonRATS? Ain't that what they do? They don't say nothing about the plight of the Negro, but they're quick to weaponize our history to give 283 million immigrants leverage over the Negro, while we remain the bottom caste of this capitalist country that our ancestors built. And so, when I see this type of egregious undermining, betrayal, and sabotage of one of our most brilliant, brightest amongst the grassroots movement, then it's on me and those who agree and believe like me to take them down. I've got to neutralize them like the enemies they are. And so let them get all the white support they need, but withdraw, rescind, unfollow Chicago Flips Red. Don't share none of their stuff. Withdraw. And prayerfully, at the end of this broadcast, you will join me in those efforts to withdraw all Negro support. Because what I know in this country, we are still the swing. And both these parties need us more than we need them. And when the DemonRATS are in control of the country, the Negroes are the only one in distress. My misery loves company. That's why I push a protest vote these past, 6, 7 years now? Finally got some traction in 24. This ain't about who's racist and who's not. All of them want us to be extincted, and they want to end our justice claim. And now we've got an opportunity unakin to our ancestors with the advent of the social media to reach each other all throughout the country. My message in California is dead out here because we've lost the war. But if I can use my voice and my platform to save the rest of us where we've got bigger margins, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to expose them before they become as large as an NAACP with black support. I give zero damns if the white folks support them. Not my monkey, not my circus. But I have a voice with the grassroots anyway to help me make these messages go viral so that we don't continue to fall for folks that look like us, that are in bed with whiteness, to upend us as a lineage for a few shekels. They are our Judases. They are our Judases. I don't care how pretty Danny is. I don't care how butch Zoe is. They are our Judases. What if the Black Panther Party had someone speaking out about these issues? What if Dr. Martin Luther King had someone speaking nationally and globally about these issues? What if the nation, I guess they did go ahead and pass a lane, but what about the protection of Malcolm X? People speaking up and out about these very issues that the mainstream media, who's in bed with both parties, it's all political theater, will not deal with these issues of what not just illegal immigration is doing to the Negro, but what mass immigration is doing. 283 million of them to 50 million of us. And all we get is taxation without representation. That's not how any of this is going to work anymore. Chicago flips red. You don't get to become what we've been through. We've been there, done that, got the t-shirt and the bumper sticker, never to return. Never again. Not on my watch. Not as long as I have breath. And so with that being said, family, I want to get this video going because it's a long one. I'm preparing for travels. And so I hope that the noise in the background with the washing machine is just Negro Freedman life happening over here. And I pray your patience. I'm going to flash the visual and I'm going to bring in the broadcast on my, that's Martin's broadcast. I'm going to bring that in on my cell phone through my Bluetooth speaker, and I will be weighing in intermittently and showing you some things intermittently. So I beg your patience as I Negro rig tonight's broadcast to show you why I'm hotter than fish grease and why I'm determined to bring Chicago flips red down to its knees, to decimate them, to return them back into the nothingness from which they came, for betraying the Negro lineage. When you betrayed Dr. Pamela Denise Long, you betrayed the entire line, because she, of all the candidates in the history, had the strongest lineage-based investment plan I've ever seen. For us to get up off this bottom, for them to trade places with us. And so without further ado, let me cue it up. Let me put up my image. My guest and co-host, keep it lit in the chat. I'll be weighing in. And preferably, I'll have some steam left to get through all of your comments, or at least most of the pertinent ones. So, let me get ready. Let's get set up and do the damn thing. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. So like I said, if you just got here, I've got to do it this way because I didn't get permission from the host of the broadcast. I don't need no copyright strikes. I already got one. They've already demonetized me. And so his image is all throughout because he keeps his cameras on. And so I've got to play it through my Bluetooth speakers. Let me know, please, family in the chat, my co-host. Let me know that you can hear the Bluetooth. You may have to adjust your volume because I don't know how it's coming in on y'all's end, but I want to make it loud enough to combat the washer, the dishwasher, all this kind of stuff going on over here, okay? Okay, let's get it going so we ain't going to be here too long. Well, you know, It will probably be 3 hours. Just get your libations and your coffees and teas because, child, the ghetto, we got to get through this. Stand by.
Devil, I love being black. Come on in, come on in. I promise you today, we're going to look over some things from the election. And I'm gonna have a couple of people on tonight and going to be talking. Mama Dora, she's going to be my guest tonight. Dr. Pamela Long, she's coming in tonight. Maybe a couple other people call in. And I want you guys to just come on in. We're going to talk about the election. What could we have done to get our dear sister in the Senate? That's what I want to talk about tonight. And one thing I want to remind of all of us tonight that there's one system and two parties. That's one we don't want to forget that. When we're talking about one system and there's two parties. And that one system that I'm talking about is racism, white supremacy. So I want to talk about that. And if we're going to support one another, especially those that look like us. Now, I got a special love for black people, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican. And I still hold and I still believe, and this is just my opinion, that we should be on both sides of the aisle. So no one should be able to determine the way black people should be able to vote. Like, well, because, hey, we've down history, we know that many black people vote Democrat, especially we've been doing that in the state of Illinois, especially in Chicago. And even me, my mama told me to vote blue, 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 blue. And I'm not a Republican. I wouldn't say I'm not a Republican, but I have voted Republican. And I'm voting for my best interest, what I think is best for my people. And that's what I am. I'm a firm believer in black people. And I believe that we could be great. And we are great. And I want to...
Okay, I want to weigh in right here, y'all. He mentioned that we should be on both sides of the aisle. What he is suggesting is no different than the other groups. Nobody shows up with the same party loyalty that we have for 70 years for the DemonRATS who have rendered us bottom caste in the country of our ancestors. The only country we've ever known, the only country most of us will ever know. Don't believe the hype about these celebrities traveling all over to Africa trying to convince you that's a better place to be. You tell their asses that you'll go over to Africa when they set up over there for a good 15 years and let you know how that worked out for them. They love to go over there and get their pockets lined to promote that nonsense to Negroes who use all of their life savings to get over there, and they realize these melanated immigrants are tribal and don't believe in giving you what our government has willingly given to them in this country. They're not going to give you free housing. They're not going to give you EBT, cash cards for food. They're not going to give you cash aid. They're not going to give you money for businesses. They're not going to give you significant down payments for you to own homes. That is what our government has decided to do in this country instead of paying us reparations. It's a continuation of the Homestead Act. From the time they rescinded our 40 acres and a mule after murdering Abe Lincoln, up and through this very day, in the form of things like class-based policies, like student loan debt erasure, when only about 20% of us have degrees and still can't get gainful employment with American wages. Why? Because immigrants are in control of the hiring tables. And they're practicing the nepotism we're told that we can't practice. So I'm not pushing any party. I believe everybody should change their registration immediately to independent. I only change my registration out here in California because they make it hard to vote in your primaries for the opposite party as an independent. You can't vote in the DemonRAT primaries, which I don't do no how, but I can't vote in the Republican primaries either. And like I always say, this is a protest vote. So we ain't the only ones in distress. Both parties suck for the Negro. It's a protest vote. I ain't a fan of neither party because both parties suck. They ain't done nothing for the Negro. If they had done something for the Negro, would our collective, I ain't talking about the 10% of us, would our collective be on the bottom? No. Would our collective be suffering the highest rates of homelessness, unemployment, underemployment, while the illegals eat better, sleep better, and got jobs? No. And so it's nothing but a bunch of political theater, because if Trump really wanted to upend illegal immigration, he wouldn't be talking about immigrants and bringing more in here. His whole thing is, let's just get rid of the bad ones. But he is as invested in ethnically cleansing us, maybe not as, maybe he's a modicum less, because he's trying to get the criminal element out of the Black community, which does help us. But please trust and believe, if he was serious about ending illegal immigration, he would find these corporations that he's in bed with. They would go to jail for hiring illegals. That's not happening. But I do know Negroes who have been able to get work on the construction sites, jobs that they were replaced in, as this country sits up here and says, oh, the Negro's lazy and doesn't want to work, when we built this itch. So I don't believe we should be on either side of the aisle. I believe we should all go independent and do a protest vote so we can continue to rest. Let's keep going.
Thank Dr. Pamela Long for coming on my show.
Oh, my apologies. I want to address BANF. You have Republicans out here talking about voting blue because of Trump, and now flip blue to red by Black Democrats. Well, let me clean this up a little bit. I see where you're going. And this is why we have to show up to the polls in Obama-style numbers for deportation closed border candidates. Because that ultimately is deportation closed border candidates, because that ultimately is in the advantage of the Negro freedmen. You see, white folks is mad at Trump. So their goal is to protest against the REPUGNIKKLANS party by voting for the DemonRATS. But I've shown y'all in over 400 videos how a vote for the DemonRATS is a vote for mass immigration and illegals. If Kamala were currently in control of the country, you would have 25 million new DACA citizens and 25 million illegals would have been made citizens. They would have given them all of the asylum that the REPUGNIKKLANS are now talking about, because the REPUGNIKKLANS are very much invested and interested in cheap labor too. So now that that's encroaching on how white folks live, now they want to vote DemonRAT in protest to the REPUGNIKKLANS party. But like I've shared with y'all, that is for immigration. But they mad at their own party. And our goal is to stay resting. The only way we rest, all together now, class. The only way we rest is when the REPUGNIKKLANS are in office. Because the 283 million immigrants and illegals can fight one another. While we rest, when the DemonRATS are in control, all together now, class. Negro freedmen are the only ones in distress. That's why we must turn the mother out come midterms. And stay on this square until the DemonRATS, whom we've been most loyal to, unass our reparations. Let's go.
During the election, she came and I introduced her to my people, and they loved her. When I say my people, the people that follow me. And actually, I met her through Mama Doris. And I was kind of little, I said, I don't know Mama Doris, but I brought her on. I was so surprised. I was amazed at a sister of boldness. See, one thing I learned about being Black in this life, these 57 years that I've been on earth, that white people respects, they don't respect a coward. They don't respect people that get along, go along, and laugh and but they respect a warrior. And I consider Dr. Long a warrior. Dr. Pamela Long a warrior. A warrior. And I'm looking like, where did this sister come from? Who is she? Who is she? It's just like she just popped out of nowhere to me. Now, no knock on no other candidates, but Pam, she stuck out to me and she had my full support. It wasn't about no money. It was about pushing the agenda that she had for Black people. Now, I realize that a lot of us was born and raised to be Democrats, and I understand that. But the truth is the truth, period. I am so...
I want to speak again. Pamela Denise Long may be new to many of you. She changed parties in 2008 to Republican from DemonRATS. And she's been rocking with the grassroots, the contemporary grassroots reparations movement for about as long as we've existed. We started formulating all over the country around 2016. So unlike the candidate that the Chicago Flip Red abandoned and betrayed Dr. Long for, that Mormon white woman ain't been here. She ain't done nothing for the Negroes. But Pamela Denise Long, she's got a long history of doing things for the Negroes. Long before she joined, we found each other in this movement. She's been working for our people. So I did want to interject that. Let's continue.
Upset at us just voting just because it's blue and we're not getting anything out of it. When are we going to start getting some results? And that's what I'm talking about. And I got a special guest today, and I think Pam should be joining us. And we're going to be talking about what are some of the things that we could have done to push the agenda that Pam brought to us on this platform. Mama Doris, I just want you to just tell us, how did you came about with Dr. Pamela Denise Long? How did you meet her? Let's talk about it.
Well, I first met her. I want to say good evening to the family first. I first met her when she interviewed me with Numbers. She was with Numbers USA. And Numbers USA was very heavily, and they still are, involved in immigration, illegal immigration. And I met another brother that Dr. Long is familiar with. He lives in Virginia. And so I met him as a result of me protesting over at the promontory point when Desmond Yancey had a meeting over there talking about the immigrants, illegal immigrants. And I went to that meeting for the purpose of doing two things: interrupt and disrupt. And I did that. My position was that do not bring them into our communities. Do not spend the kind of money that they were spending on bringing illegal immigrants here at the expense of the American people, at the expense of Chicagoans, and particularly Black Americans in this city who are really at the bottom and catching hell, our veterans. And so with all of these people encountering some of the issues and problems that they're having because the city is not taking care of them, I was adamantly opposed to the bringing of the illegal immigrants in here. And so after I appeared at that venue, I had Fox TV, NBC, and others to call me. And then someone from Numbers USA got in touch with me, and Pam was one of the people who interviewed me about my position on immigration. That is how I got to know her. And then the next time I was with her, we were over here at Metzler's Hotel. And I was impressed with her when I met her with Numbers USA, because my position is this is a very, very intelligent woman. Now, I had no knowledge of her thinking about running for the U.S. Senate from the state of Illinois. So a few months later, I met her over here at Metzler Hotel. Me and Zoe, we met her over there, and we had a long discussion with her about her running for the U.S. Senate seat, and she explained to us what her platform would be, what she would be pushing. But what impressed me the most was her intelligence and her knowledge about policies and about legislations. And anyone who's heard me on your show, even you, that's all I talk about is policies and the different legislations. And this woman is so versed and so knowledgeable about those areas and the Constitution and the 14th, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments, the birthright. And I was just blown away. I was blown away because that was the first time in almost 50 years that I had heard anyone speak so intelligently. And so I committed myself to working with her. And she came here, she did some campaigning. We went to the Flaggers event, and we went to some other places, once she announced that she would be running and getting signatures to get on the ballot. So we were all over the city. I was all over the city, and other people working with her. And so that is how I first met her. And so when she announced that she was running for Senate, and I was affiliated. I was, involved with Chicago Flips Red, and I saw Chicago Flips Red because of what their concept and their agenda was at the time. I saw Chicago Flips Red as being an ideal organization to do what we wanted to do. We wanted to flip Chicago red, wanted to flip the state red, and we wanted a Republican. And as you know, I came on your show telling everybody, let's vote Republican. Let's give it a try, because we're not getting anything from the Democrats. So I was committed, and when I get involved, I commit myself. I'm very passionate. Zoe and I talked about it, so I thought we were on the same page, and so I went for it. And it was, to me, a good way to push Chicago Flips Red. I love what they were doing. They've done some amazing work. And so the political part was just perfect to me. And so I was into it. And so I thought Zoe was on the same track. But as it turned out later on, I became very upset when I learned that she had endorsed another person, just this Jeannie woman, over Dr. Long. And I asked her, how could you endorse Dr. Long over this woman who is much more qualified? She brought to us a plan, a lineage-based investment plan. She wrote a piece pertaining to property taxes and what she was going to do once she got elected. She was going to hit the ground running. So it was perfect. It was perfect. And again, she was best qualified. So when I learned that she had endorsed this Jeannie woman, I was very upset, very dissatisfied, still upset, still very dissatisfied, because we had an opportunity to get around this sister and to get Black folks to vote red in Chicago. That was going to be a monumental task, because we've always been voting Democrats. So what better person to try to get our people to get away from that Democratic Party and vote for someone who's got some tangibles, who's presenting tangibles to us that she's going to do for us and the American people, America first. I was sold on it. So to find out that they were going in a different direction, it just really hurt me. It really upset me. And I said, okay, then you've sold out. Now, sold out doesn't necessarily mean money, because I don't know if they got any money. I'm not concerned about that. But to me, it was sellout. So that's how I got to know Dr. Long, and I've been working very hard. I worked very hard to try to get her in.
Okay, let me just say something. Let's get some clarity going here.
Excuse me, I have to say something here. Mama Doris didn't know that it was about money. Okay, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know. But I've already played for y'all at the top of that broadcast, Danny thanking a room full of white folks at that event. Lincoln 250 put on by Nothing But Gop. And they had them on that stage. And Danny said out of her own mouth, thank you for all of your support and your donations. So, if you want to know whether or not they are in fact taking funding from white people, no different than the NAACP in the National Urban League, just rewind to the top of the video. White folks is supporting this because white folks don't want us to have lineage-based investment. Well, that's not true. She got 53,000 votes, mostly white folks. I believe if Chicago Flipped Red was really about her campaign the way they initially endorsed, she could have given that Mormon woman a run for the money, even though that Mormon woman comes from money. I'll let Dr. Long explain all that. I'm not going to tarry. But Mama Doris will be 83 this year. Do you know that Zoe cursed her out, called her all kinds of names, cursed Denise out, called Denise out of her name? This is who you're dealing with. She became totally unhinged when I brought my comrade onto a phone conversation for her to help us understand why she betrayed Dr. Long in the 11th hour. For a Mormon non-reparationist, non-doing a damn thing for the Negro line, why would she flip red for this kind of candidate over Dr. Long? She lost her mind like a rabid dog, would not allow a Son Powell to even get a word in edgewise. But to sit up here and call Mama Doris all kinds of B's and MFers and all this manner of thing. I got the receipts. I'm not going to share those here. I can just tell you because I don't want to belabor the point. But Mama Doris poured everything into her. 82 years old, and you talk to her worse than any cracker you ever talked to. You talk to Mama Doris as if she was crap on the bottom of your shoe because you are being exposed. Long before Mama Doris got involved, long before my involvement, I heard there was a room that was held. I don't know if it was Zoe's or whose it was, where she was LGBTQIAXYZ over Negro. She LGBTQXYZ first. And that's when things started to unravel. Because the grassroots ain't playing that. The gate is up. Let's continue. My apologies, but I got to weigh in periodically. Just give me a second. I'll cue it back up. I'm going to be weighing in. When the ancestors tell me to speak on it, I'm going to speak on it.
I talk to Jessica a lot. Jessica, I consider Jessica as my friend. We talk all the time. She balled me out when I get off track or whatever. And it's cool. It's cool. But Jessica told me herself in her own words that she did endorse Dr. Long. Jessica told me she did. So I'm
Oh, Jessica did. Yes, she did.
Okay. So,
yes, you did.
So are
She
we
did.
talking about, also, I want to get something clarified here because I don't want to, no wrong. Once we put this information out, we can't take it back.
Right.
Are we talking about Zoe or the Chicago Flip Red organization? Which one we talking?
I am talking about my relationship with Zoe and the conversation that I had with Zoe and the commitment that I thought she had in terms of supporting Dr. Long. I'm only talking.
And I'm talking about Chicago Flips Red. I'm talking about they got a placard full of non-reparationist candidates. And I thought twice, I don't even want to share their names. I'm not going to dignify them candidates with even being memorialized in my broadcast. Y'all can find it if you need to see it, unless they went through and scrubbed these enters of net. Okay? They may have done that. But I refuse to speak their names. So I'm talking about Chicago Flips Red endorsed non-reparationist REPUGNIKKKLANS with no Black agenda, with no Negro agenda, unakin to Dr. Long, who had a lineage-based investment plan for the Negro. Dr. Long was inclusive of us as Americans, unakin to the candidates that Chicago Flips Red endorsed. Not a Black agenda in sight. Their whole philosophy is, let's get them into office and then talk about your tangibles. How long we been doing that with the DemonRATS? Back to the broadcast.
About my relationship with Zoe and our conversation. It does not involve anyone else. And that's why I was so disappointed, because of what we talked about. She was all for her. She acknowledged that she's the best candidate the best candidate out of all of them, Democrats or Republicans. So I'm only talking about my relationship and the conversation Zoe and I have. No one else. No one else.
Okay. All right. My friend Jessica said, don't bring me into Jessica. I'm not bringing you into that. I just want to just keep some clarity. That's all, because this is a sensitive matter, and since we're going this way, I just want to bring it up. You have nothing to do with this, Jessica. So my apologies. I just want to get something clear, okay?
No, they have done an amazing job.
Yes.
They have done a phenomenal job in terms of bringing attention to the Black community, Chicago at large, about what is going on down there at City Hall. I applaud them 1,000%, would never take anything away from them. I am just talking about my conversation with Zoe and the impression that I got in terms of us supporting her and just going all out to try to get her elected.
Okay. Well, let me say, I want to put it out in the air. I have a relationship with you guys, the Flip Red, you, all you guys. You know, you guys have come on my program, show me love, and I let you guys speak freely on here. I don't never put a muzzle on. No, you can't say that on here. No, I'm very transparent. You know, one thing, I love Black people, and everybody know me. I'm race first before anything. And you know, a lot of people have gotten on me for voting for color, in which I have been guilty because a person is Black, and I vote for him because I have been guilty. Now,
we've all been guilty. And what have I been teaching y'all over the years I've had this channel? Identity and respectability politics must die for Negro freedmen to flourish in the country of our ancestors. So we're all guilty of it. I didn't get off that silly, ridiculous vote blue, no matter who, no matter what train until 2 terms of no Obama. So you are forgiven. Pick up your bed like Yeshua told Lazarus. Okay?
when I interviewed Dr. Pamela Long, I was stung. I'm gonna say this is me talking. It's Martin Johnson talking. And I said, man, this woman, where did this woman come from? I mean, she can answer every question fluently, articulate, smart, been around. And I said, this woman is unbelievable. You know, that's just me. It's my thought. So I'm not a Republican. I don't really consider myself a Democrat anymore anyway. But my thing is, personally, I like Pamela. You know, that's why I shared her literature on my page. It wasn't about no money or anything, but I just want to express that. And I want to, before we go any further, let's pull up some charts about how she did in the election. I want to do that. Let me do, okay, Mama Dora, is that cool?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I want to pull up something about her because I want to, you know, because, you know, once you...
Okay, y'all, I want to pull up the chart. Since he's pulling up the chart, I want to show it to you, but I also want to offer some context about this chart as juxtaposed to what Dr. Long shared, okay? Because the chart looks different with respect to what Dr. Long will share about her placement. So stand by. Let me change my slide. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. If you'd like to bless the broadcast, you can do so at Cash App, $TRP TV. All of your support, past, present, and future, is greatly appreciated to enable me to continue to advocate for Black American Negro Freedmen over here. Okay? Stand by. Let me change it out. I'm going to try to move myself. Let me see. I'm going to have to hide my baby's comments so we can see what's going on. I'm going to have to change my position. There we go. I put myself down on the bottom so y'all can still hear and see. All right? Let's keep going, class.
Sometimes when you see people, they don't, after the election, if they lose, you don't hear nothing from them or anything. And, you know, let me see if I can zoom this up a little bit. Okay, hold on. Let me zoom this up. Hold on. Okay, hold on. We got a caller. Hold on. I think this is the doctor. Hold on. Hey, Doc, hold on 1 second, okay?
All right.
Bring you in. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, I got doctor in there. All right, hold on. Before we, can you guys hear me? Mama Doris?
Oh, I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Doc, can you hear me? Doctor?
Yes,
Okay.
clearly.
All right. Before we get talking, I want to look at some of your election results that happened. I want to look at it and talk about it a little bit. And I'm trying to bring it up a little. I want to get it up. I can see it. Bring it up a little bit. The screen is just bring the screen up a little bit. Bring it up because see, look at your numbers. And okay. Well, I just got it up on the screen. I'll work it while you're talking. Okay, what I want to say, this is what Martin Johnson want to say about this. I realized that she wasn't sponsored by a major network or anything as far as money. It was like a self-finance in a sense. And I think that less than 10% of the vote, 53,000. And Doc, could you explain that where most of your votes come from?
Now, before she gets into her explanation, I want to just show y'all something. These numbers I don't really know about these numbers because she got over 53,000, but this is saying 34,694. I just lifted off his broadcast what he was sharing. But if you look at ballots counted out of the 354,601, Dr. Long came in third. It was Don Tracy, Jeannie Evans, that's the Mormon woman that Chicago flipped on Dr. Long for, the non-reparationist, non-Black Agenda, Jeannie Evans came in second. If you look down here, ballots counted. Where does Dr. Long end up? Third. Okay, so these numbers, I don't really know. This percentage, I don't really know. I'm looking down here at the ballots counted. Let her explain it. Hold on.
Could you do that for me?
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
sure. So we got a bit over 53,000 votes. Context for that is I came in third at about 64 of the counties in the state after the two establishment-backed candidates. So one gave himself $2 million and had been around for a while, and he's the one who ultimately won. He's the one who was also asked to step down from leadership of the Illinois GOP. Then the second lady was put in by Tom DeVore, who's good friends with the current Republican gubernatorial governor candidate and lieutenant governor candidate. Specifically, that person, Tom DeVore, spent months talking about me because I have been an advocate for reparations and because I believe that every American has a First Amendment right to hold the government accountable for wrongdoing, harms that happen, negligence that happen, and the like. And certainly Black Americans are no exception to the Constitution, right? That's part of why we had the Civil War. But that lady was put in by those people specifically because I have championed reparations. And they spent months online telling Republicans don't sign my petition to get on the ballot, though Tom DeVore did, though I collected 6,200 signatures to get on the ballot and turned in, a number that I felt comfortable with out of that. So she was backed by the establishment, and the establishment specifically that was angry that I had been a champion of reparations. Now, the numbers that I got behind those two establishment people who ended up, from a fundraising perspective, both rich, wealthy people, self-funded, got on the ABC7 debate because of the timeline for cutting off. And then they ended up getting a lot of free media as a result of getting on that debate because of fundraising alone. I polled better than the Polish guy who came in, who was on the third person on that debate, right? I actually qualified for the debate from a fundraising perspective that happened in Peoria, that was televised in Peoria. And a lot of people saw that and they said the same thing, that you won the debate, your policies made the most sense, you're the strongest candidate, you're the person who could win against Democrats who are very polished, very strong in their talking points, blah, 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 right? So everybody in front of me in those outcomes are, except for the establishment-backed lady, they'd run before, they were known, like the two men, the Polish guy and the Italian guy, I think have run like a couple or three times, so they're known factors. So that I got 53,000 votes with people that have more name recognition is actually an astounding feat for a grassroots candidate who really, my fundraising came from me doing some self-funding, but I got plenty of donations from other people who listened to me or who would hear me as I was going around the state, 102 counties. I didn't go to all 102, but they heard me on the radio, they heard my interviews, my TV interviews, and all of that kind of stuff. They did donate to my campaign. People around the country donated to my campaign. So that's the general context. And like I said, I came in third in 64 or thereabouts counties of the 102. When you look at the polling results, you'll see that I came in third for that. There are people who found out about my campaign since the election, because we have 13 million people in Illinois, who are like, I can't believe you weren't the one chosen. I looked at your website and I compared you to the other people, blah, blah, blah. And the other thing about that, when people talk about Chicago, the fact that I didn't get that free media that those other three people got made a huge difference, right? We filed an FCC complaint against NBC57 for doing a focus only on those three, when the reality is that I also qualified for a debate based on fundraising and polling, and the Evans girl didn't. So they should have actually included me, right, in that, because I did qualify for a debate based on fundraising, but they didn't. So that's really a big factor in that. The other factor in that is, and I think that's the big factor, is name recognition, and people on ABC7 like 3 times a week, or Face the Nation, which they put them on as well, will obviously have more name recognition, all orchestrated, all establishment backed recognition. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm an outsider looking in. I will say this. To me, looking at these numbers, I'm not a political person. Now, I know a little bit, not a whole lot. I know you're a professional. You've done articles and different things, studies and stuff like that. And we all have our right to choose to vote for each other. We should. You know, and I felt, this is the question I want to ask you. Now, I was talking to Mama Doris, and she was telling me how, is it the word lineage or something that you use instead of reparations, or something like the wording that you use about Black people getting reparations?
So,
yeah, explain that to me.
Yeah, sure. So it's not a synonym at all. It's
Okay.
not reparations.
Okay.
And I've said that numerous times. It's not reparations. I wasn't running on reparations. I've written about reparations. I framed up reparations. I framed up a relaunch of the Freedmen's Bureau, as well as the integration between the Freedmen's Bureau federal and the Freedmen's Bureau at the state level, right? State level affairs for Black Americans, and how important it was for any lineage-specific identity markers and programs to go through some kind of efficiency, effectiveness organization to make sure we don't have more $5 Indians, like that people, lapping into it. I wrote out a very comprehensive program about that. I developed it, where I was talking about people having a consequence for penalty of perjury if they say they are a legacy Black American, foundational Black American, ADOS, whatever you want to call it. All of those monikers is what I advocated with Biden's Office of Management and Budget for the census, is that every moniker that we, the descendants of the founding Black population, have gone by need to belong to us exclusively, and it needs to be clarified as such in the census as well as any other federal data collection. So the lineage-based investment that I was offering was not a synonym for reparations. What I was suggesting is that we redirect half of minority spending toward the people it was supposed to go to. So currently, we spend $8.2 billion every year towards so-called minorities. And basically, a minority is anybody that's not a straight white Christian male. So a man who thinks he's a woman can compete with women, right? It's under Trump, not so much, but under Biden, yes. A Chinese man can fly over here and be a minority and compete with legacy Black Americans for business development grants and minority spending. A gay white man is a minority all of a sudden, all of that. A woman, right? A white woman is a minority as well. So I was saying we go back to originalism, because those 1960s funds were designed for the descendants of the founding Black population who endured slavery and then endured 100 years of Jim Crow once Lincoln was murdered and they sabotaged Reconstruction, right? So that's what the lineage-based investment was, is a return to original intent of minority spending by redirecting half of minority spending back to the originally intended recipients, which is descendants of the founding Black population. And I wasn't coding that as reparations. I was coding it as originalism, because it is, and also fiscally conservative. If we stop funding all the so-called minorities who can fly over here and actually do what the funds were intended to do, we could actually change significant outcomes in the family tree for Black Americans, which is what those funds were originally intended to do in the first place. Based on economic projections, the United States could have saved $24 trillion in 40 to 50 years in the variety of programs and subsidies and economic bumps that what I was proffering would have accomplished. And so that is what I was offering, both as a fiscally conservative and patriotic Americans First program, in my understanding that, and this is important, that Black Americans said no tangibles, no vote, right? And so I was offering something specifically to Black Americans that I would fight for and had already educated some elected officials about before I even decided to run for office. And so that's what that program was designed to do. And it's important to note that when people actually listened and didn't think it was reparations, white people, Republicans in particular, they were like, oh, what you're saying makes sense. Of course you guys were the ones who should have gotten that in the first place. And yes, you're right. Anyone can come over here, including a descendant of a slave trader, code as Black, and compete with you for what the nation saw fit to give to legacy Black Americans as a way of correcting the deprivations, to give you a leg up and a hand up and all that. And so 8 out of 10 conservative Republicans agreed with it. Of course, there were people who insisted on framing it as reparations when it was not reparations. It was simply making sure that this program that was supposed to go to this lineage of people actually gets delivered to them, and that we drive outcomes through a number of mechanisms that I know from being in business, human resources, organizational development, that are unique, and no one has talked about those things in the way that I did.
Now,
well, I want to say this. Did you hear her tell y'all that this racist country has cost these racists $24 trillion? Did you hear her say that? Their racism has cost the country $24 trillion to keep us on the bottom. And now there is a boomerang effect on the white immigrants. Now there is a boomerang effect, and they want to run out here and protest against the Repugnant Klan party for the very demon rats I'm trying to bury. And I need all hands on deck. Because if we cannot flourish in the country of our ancestors, no one will. That's my square. Till times get better for the Negro. I want an end and a moratorium on mass immigration as well as deportation, closed borders, no more illegals. And if I got to vote Repugnant Klan to make sure that they implode and continue to be at war with one another, that's what I will do, because the demon rats have declared war on us. And it is on us to return the missiles with the weaponization of our votes and the socialization of our suffering. That is our job for ourselves, for our neighbors, for our children, for our families, for our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. Because of all the people, immigration and illegal hurts, it is the Negro. And we coming up off this bottom. If I got anything to do with it, we are coming up off this bottom. We are outmanned, we are outgunned, we are outmoneyed. And if y'all don't show up to these polls in Obama-style numbers and vote against the demon rats the way they constantly drive you to vote against the Repugnant Klans, it will be the end of the line. $24 trillion is what these glacier donkeys have cost this country to oppress no one but us. Let that sink in.
As I was talking to Mama Dora, she was saying that out of all of the candidates that she's heard that's running for that position, that ran, didn't no one have a black agenda? Nothing, didn't even have anything. And is that true? Is that true? I'm asking you, Doc.
Yeah, it's 100% true. The reason these folks went up against me, the same people who getting ready to tell you to come vote for Republicans down the ballot and talk to them about policy later, it's a problem because as I understand it, the Black American community said, we're not voting for people who haven't made specific promises and policy for us or adopted our agenda, right? That's what it moved to, is we're going to bring you an agenda and we want you to adopt it. We're not going to ask you to figure it out. We're not going to vote you in and then talk to you about policy. We want you to come to the table with something and or ready to adopt our agenda. I came with a specific agenda item that was appropriate, it was tangible, it was doable in the way it was structured, it was outlined and specific about who and which parts of government would do what, it was specific about the impact that it would achieve, and the ways in which it would safeguard resources and its delivery specifically to legacy Black Americans, FBA, ADOS, and all of that. And I want to just make it clear, I'm a 7th+ generation American. I can tie my ancestry back on both sides of my family to pre-1900, and I can tie my ancestry back to 2 parents born in Virginia in the early 1800s to late 1700s. So I'm a legacy Black American, point blank, period. I am a descendant of the founding Black population, and what happens to our community matters to me. And I listen, not only do I listen, but I've been actively involved. I've been actively involved in our advocacy over the years, which is why these people put that woman up to run against me, because they wanted to make sure they split the vote and they want to set her up for a run in 2028 for Duckworth's seat when she fumbled over her words most of the time. I even heard some of my stuff coming out of her mouth and all of that. So you really expect that the best friend of the guy who was angry with me about reparations and advocating for a lineage-based investment is suddenly going to come around and do something specific for the same people that they sabotaged my campaign when I was advocating for, when the same person was saying, well, Denise was advocating for reparations and I just don't know that, so what? Like, you expect this person to do something for you when he's been like actively talking against me because I was advocating for you.
And that's what I want to stress as well. Chicago flips red, knowingly and willingly abandoned Dr. Long after endorsing her, after being behind her. Now they'll sit up here and lie to you all day long that their feelings was hurt, that she wouldn't drive 8 hours round trip to attend every one of their events, that she didn't ingratiate herself enough with enough gratitude for them. But that's not really it. Like I shared at the top of the broadcast, these white folks been lining their pockets. Let's get to it. They have an LLC. This is not a 501c3. This ain't a 501c4. This is an LLC. Y'all can look it up for yourselves. And these glacier donkeys are lining their pockets to get their endorsement for candidates that are backed by non-reparationists who sought out to destroy Dr. Long because she has written many articles in support of reparation. She comes up with a lineage-based investment plan that most of her voters agreed with. So they're not all glacier donkeys. Some of them actually got some sense. If you're a glacier donkey, you know who you are. I get tired of having to make those, disclaimers when I'm over here cooking with the ancestors. They literally got in bed with a woman that they knew was a non-reparationist, no black having agenda, and then, like Dr. Long shared, you want to put these people in office and then talk about what's tangible for the Negro freedmen in the by and by, which we know is a bye-bye. How many times have the DemonRATS done the same? We're going to get you a George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, only for Joe Crow to get in by the votes of the Negro and stealing the elections, in my opinion, through mail-in ballots. Ergo, why they don't want that SAVE Act to pass. They love illegals being able to vote illegally in their elections. It's the only way they can win. That's why they tell you here in California, your ID, put it away, is against the law. You got to have ID to drive, ID to drink, ID to get a job. But come to your vote in the protection event, the DemonRATS say, put it away. We've made it illegal so that illegals can vote in this election. But I digress. No sooner than Joe Crow gets into office, he kicks the can on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to end qualified immunity over to the non-doing Senate. So what is different about what Chicago Flip Red intend to do when they flip Chicago red, allowing these white folks to get into power with nothing tangible for the Negro? That's why the title reads what? All together now. Chicago flips red. Negroes ain't leaving the DemonRAT plantation for the REPUGNIKKLANS plantation. And I'm going to be flashing y'all's comments so we don't have long at the end of this thing to read through all your comments. I'm trying to do that intermittently. I'm gonna put my other slide back up because I like it. Thank you, Yaira, for your donation. Thank you for blessing the broadcast. You others can do the same. It don't hurt to pass the plate, okay? But guess what? You can also like it. That's passing the plate. You can also share it. That's passing the plate. Help make it go viral, y'all. We need all hands on deck. Those are other ways you can bless the broadcast, all right? It's not always monetary, but all of it's appreciated. Okay, I want to keep that going. Okay, let's go back over here, and let's keep it going, y'all.
And Martin, may I say something?
Yes.
And can I say one more thing, Ms. Doris? Can I say one more thing before you say that?
Sure, yeah,
The
go ahead.
53,000 people who voted for me were from all
I want to explain it's on 1.5 or 1.25 times. I'm trying to speed it up so we can get out of here.
across Illinois, all across the counties, right? There was a lot of white support for my candidacy. And there were a lot of white people in those last hours before people voted, actively going out and spinning a narrative that I supported reparations specifically. These folks don't mean you any good. They're going to try to get your vote for nothing. We said, and I've been in it for years, right? We said, you need to come with an agenda for us and or ready to adopt our agenda before we vote for you. And what I see is people telling you to vote red down the ballot when those people have sabotaged a candidate who was running specifically all Americans first for every Illinoisan, but a specific carve out for our population. And I've been in this advocacy for a very long time. So it's not just about me. What I'm looking at is people saying that they weren't supportive and they sabotaged and they talked against and telling people not to vote for me, not to sign my petition because I was advocating for you. So why would those same people come on board to do anything for you? I had white support who wasn't falling for that across the state, but the people who they're trying to get you to vote for, the people available to you now, have even gotten up and walked out of dinners with Black folks when they asked if that person supported reparations and the person said yes, and they got up and left. But they want you to vote for these people now? That just doesn't feel, and that's the bigger issue for me, right? It feels like our people are being misled from Democrats riding your vote and sending you away with nothing to Republicans riding your vote and sending you away with nothing. And that is simply wrong to me.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Ms. Doris.
Go ahead, Ms. Doris.
Okay, I do want to interject. One of my beloveds shared about that 24 trillion, how that could have been reparations. Yes, baby. It could have been a down payment. Thomas Kramer's number, how many years ago? I got to look up when he published the number, was 6.2 quadrillion just for slavery from the inception of the country in 1776 up and through our emancipation. 6.2 quadrillion was based on 3 cents an hour, 18 hours a day for our ancestors. Yes, that was what his number was based on from 1776 through 1865. That number is not my number. My number is bigger than 6.2 quadrillion because my number factors in not just slavery, but Jim Crow and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their very lives. Okay? Oh, thank you, baby. Somebody bless the broadcast. I appreciate you, love. I see it up there. I don't know how to. Thank you, American Freedmen. I appreciate you blessing the broadcast. Thank you so very much for your generosity. Thank you. All right, family. Let me see. I don't even know how to put it on the screen. Lord, let me see. How do I'm clicking on it. Child, y'all forgive me. I'm not the most technologically savvy. I am a Gen Xer. So, thank you, American Freedmen. I see you bless the plate, and I sure appreciate you for that. Okay, so I did want to interject that. Let me see if there were any other comments that I wanted to address. Like I said, I'm trying to do double time so we can do the declare and decree and our prayer protection and go to bed. Okay, the birth rate, I wanted to address this, what Yaira said. That birth rate is finishing whitey. Yeah, well, guess what you know about these white folks, Yaira? I've taught it over here for years now. When they can't have babies, they just create a whole nother white group. They made the Irish white. They made the Italians white. They made the Jews white. Jews ain't a race. They've made the Latinos white. If you're light complected, white folks keep their numbers going by just waving the magic wand and ding, you become white. Race is a social construct to keep the Black American Negro Freedmen bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their very lives. So they'll keep their numbers going. You got folks in this country darker than most Negroes claiming white on the census. They don't mind themselves being used. They come from colonization. Their minds are colonized. We are the revolutionaries, not them. So their semen can be weak. They cannot be able to carry their babies to full term. That's why you see all this interracial sexual access. You see brothers with money getting in bed with Becky, Maria, and Ling Ling to keep their lines going and to steal and co-opt more of our generational inheritable wealth while the Negro communities are being immigrant-gentrified. Because white folks are immigrants too. Let's keep that in mind. 283 million of them, 50 million of us. So let's continue.
And because of everything she has said, that is why I thought Chicago Flips Red, which was coined by Zoe, was the perfect organization to push this candidacy. And also it went along with their philosophy in terms of what they wanted to do, and that is to turn Chicago Flips Red in the state. And my position was that she was the perfect candidate, and I wanted to advance beyond what they have done, because they have done a lot of work. So I was very passionate about it, and I got involved, and I assumed and I thought that we were on the same page. And it would have been perfect, because they have been doing the work. And I have been saying, we're not going to vote for Democrats who are not going to offer us anything, and we should not go to the Republicans without demanding something from them. I didn't know I said on your show, let's give it a chance. And I was begging and pleading with Black people, let's do something different. And I was out there working. She worked hard. Pamela, 3.5 hours from Chicago, but she came here. And when she could not make it, I went to represent us. And what I also learned is that it was not necessarily about money. It was about numbers. And I saw Chicago as having those numbers, and we could have put her, over the hump. I still firmly believe that. And again, we talk, well, not voting for someone just because they're Black. I've made it very clear that I'm not voting for someone just because they're Black.
Hold on, y'all. Folks trying to call in the middle of the broadcast. Sorry about that.
Knowledgeable woman about the issues, about politics, about everything. There's not a question you can ask her that she does not answer. When you hear her talk, you really don't have any questions afterwards. And that is why I was pushing her so hard and wanted Chicago Flips Red to get behind her, because this is what I had discussed with Zoe. And so I just thought we were on the same page, and I will not say to my people to vote for any party or anyone who does not bring some tangibles for us, because we have been losing, and it's time for us to lose, because we have what is necessary for us to win. And we should not be giving anybody anything without them giving us some tangibles.
Can I say this as well? This to me is bigger than the idea of me being endorsed. Yes, Zoe and them made it clear that I am their senatorial candidate. I share with them some of my original writings, including my writing about the relaunch of the Freedmen's Bureau. I originally wrote that years ago, sitting at my dining room table, when a person I know in Chicago had been complaining about some things with inequities and the like. And I wrote an equity ordinance and used my language, my original concepts about efficiency, effectiveness, relaunching the Freedmen's Bureau. These things have been documented on my page and in my materials for at least 4 years now. I shared that with them. I also shared with them my lineage-based investment plan and the processes that I put in there using my organizational development, healthcare, educational lens to build out a program that could withstand time, that would be efficient and effective, that would be, fiscally responsible, right? That wouldn't waste waste money, that would look for impacts and all that, wouldn't lean into the not-for-profit industrial complex where, money goes to the not-for-profit and it pays for people's salaries, but the people who really need the investment don't ever get it. Like, there was a lot that I put into that. So I shared those two things with them. And then within like a week, everything switched up. And they sent me a document where, Danny was saying she wanted to run for mayor, and they asked me to look at her platform. So I did. I looked at the writings that they sent me and made some suggestions, a few suggestions about that, and then sent over the things that I sent them that I'm going to be running on. Because the idea, based on what they told me, is you're our Senate candidate. And then, they sent me the endorsement Google form. I completed all of that and everything. And then the energy just felt really weird. She was really terse, really short. And I noticed that they had this guy on there that had been going around the state. He was running for Senate at the time, but he got kicked off the ballot. His name is Goodman. They had him on the podcast, and I listened to it after the fact. And I noticed they never asked him about reparations, which I thought was fascinating, because they said that if you ain't a candidate running on reparations, we don't want to talk to you, right? And that was my conversation with them, including my interview, was all about, do you support reparations? Do you support reparations? Do you support reparations, right? And then with him, it was never mentioned. And he had been going around telling voters and leaders in the party, well, Denise has spoken out for reparations, so it's a non-starter, quote unquote, non-starter. So how does this guy, who has been going around talking about you can't vote for Denise because she's for reparations, on a show with people who said that if you ain't for reparations, we ain't down. And then he never gets asked about reparations. That was confusing to me. Plus some of his other platform stuff I found kind of odd. But the bigger thing was like, you said that you were about a thing, but I'm seeing that you're terse with me, short with me, and you're giving this guy a pass. And I'm not stupid. I have good pattern recognition. So I'm wondering what's going on. I found out that some troublesome people from the internet, from Twitter, had been meddling around, very problematic people that folks tend to not want to mess with because they're highly problematic, got their hands up in the mix, right? And then it just became super, distant and different. Yeah. And so then I just started moving forward because I'm running a campaign. I'm running a serious campaign. I am traveling. I've traveled 60,000 miles since May of 2025, connecting all across the state from the border of Wisconsin down to the Ohio River and everywhere in between with voters. I'm trying to actually be able to win this office. And so, no, I could not drive. I was never invited to a CFR event that I didn't make it to just flippantly. The one event that I said, I think I can come to this, was a press release they were going to have on September 11th, because I was coming up for a Blexit event, Blexit being Charlie Kirk's organization. Well, Charlie Kirk was murdered on September 10th. So obviously the September 11th event was actually canceled, and I didn't drive up just for 4 hours just for the press release. Plus it was a lot to deal with, and a lot thinking about what could happen to people who speak out bravely when it comes to politics. It was really actually
Okay, I want to interject here. Because when I spoke with Zoe, she was giving a lot of half-truths. That's what she does. And a half-truth, the way my mama raised me, is a whole lie. So she was giving a bunch of half-truths. And I came to later find out when she said Dr. Long wasn't showing up, that Mama Doris was showing up in her place. Mama Doris knew that she was trying to do her campaign 4 hours away from the city. So she would show up in lieu of her. Zoe was sitting up here pretending like she missed a myriad of events and was totally neglecting and not coming to anything they invited her to get her name out. That is a lie. They invited her to some event in D.C. around the 4th of July that they told Dr. Long they would pay for, and then the conversation fell by the wayside. Many of the events Zoe was claiming they give her an invitation to that she neglected to come to is a lie. Dr. Long never received this myriad of invitations that Zoe lied to me on the phone and said that she was being neglectful as a candidate, which was part and parcel her reason for rescinding support. Okay? Lies, half-truths. Same thing I heard on one of their broadcasts when it came to how they undermined P. Ray Easley's organization, Chicago Red, and have turned it into an LLC, collecting donations from white folks, probably some black folks too, that don't know that they have flipped on the Negro for the white folks. Because when you see them at these city council meetings, you don't get that that's the grift. While it's helpful and beneficial to call BJ out for our ethnocide and legislating us out of the state, akin to how Newsom has legislated the Negro out of the state of California, which is the blueprint on how to legislate Negroes out of every place we reside. While that's a good thing, you can be duped like me and so many others have been in thinking that they're leveraging their voices and their organization to fight on our behalf. They are no different than the white folks and the Crayolas with 3 Ks. They are, in fact, the Crayolas with 3 Ks. They weaponize our never-ending Holocaust to line their own pockets with white money, and that's who they work for. I hope you picking up what I'm putting down. Let's go.
Scary time. So yeah, that's the only thing that I can remember that I said I could probably make it to and didn't. And as for the event that Ms. Doris held for me at the library, I told Ms. Doris before that I think I'm going to be late for this because I'm going to be up in near Wisconsin border at 2 different events that I'm going to run in, run out, speak at those events, then head all the way down. I think I was up at Waukegan and Zion or something like that. Like it was way up there, past Six Flags, right? And then I ran down to 63rd Street, right? And traffic was terrible. And I was on the phone with them the entire time. Like I see this sign, right? On the highway. So how far am I? It says I'll be there in 40 minutes or whatever the case may be. And I came into the room after those events, after all that travel, and I handled business. I answered the questions. I engaged with people. We had a very good conversation. Then it became, well, I was late to the event and I didn't take them seriously. Like, it just seems like the football kept moving and the reasons for the switch up kept moving. And then I noticed these people who have been speaking staunchly against our repair and against me as a candidate who's spoken positively about our repair were getting all this attention and passes. And how do you go from supporting repair, and if you ain't for reparations, then we don't want to talk to you, to not only talking about it less, but to the point that the community is reaching out and saying, why aren't they talking about this anymore? But you're also credentialing people who not just don't talk about it, but they've actually spoken negatively about it publicly, and they're trying to sabotage my campaign by their own words because I've spoken positively about it. So for me, it was about principle, in addition to the fact that when you make a commitment based on principle, you should stand by it. Yes, you get to choose to renege on that and backpedal on that if you choose to, but then also people get to call you out about it, is how I feel. And again, it's not about anybody necessarily endorsing me or anything, but Jeannie Evans was put up by people who specifically came after me because I support our repair. Right. And if you're saying you're down for it and that's it and that's all, how do you support someone who's backed by people who are specifically against it? It just doesn't align with principle to me.
And Martin, the Republican Party.
I want to take a little commercial break to thank NWP. I found a way to put this on the line. Thank you for blessing the plate, baby. I sure appreciate you. I see you, American Freedmen. Thank you for blessing the plate. I sure appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Black American Negro Freedmen strong. Yes, I do. And thank you, Yaira, for the $20 blessing in the plate. I see you, fam. Thank y'all. Okay, I did want to go over a couple things before I let Mama Doris weigh in. Let's go back up here, class. Thank y'all for the love. I feel like going on. You see, this is why the ancestors won't let me rest. Anytime I think I'm going to leave this broadcast and just be done with it because I'm too stressed out, y'all the reason I keep showing up. Y'all are the wind beneath my wings. I thank y'all so much for believing in my advocacy for the line. It means the world to me that you show up and you show out as my co-host in the chat. Thank you so much. And thank you for your donations. All right. Your contributions to the channel. Okay, so I did want to go to a couple of things and then we'll get back. I got some things to comment on. Just a second. I lost my place. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you in advance. Okay. Kid Gravity Beyond shares CFR, that's Chicago Flip Red, claim they weren't MAGA. then started promoting MAGA within a month after. I have the screenshots. Darling, they were on my broadcast. I put there a snippet of their YouTube video endorsing Dr. Long. And at the top of it, Danny did a whole speech about how imperative it is that they be in support of MAGA over the rhinos, that they've got to defeat the rhinos. So maybe in the beginning, they were trying to pull wool to make Negroes believe that they're not MAGA. See, I am independent. I don't believe in being for either party because they both suck for Negroes. But I do get the difference between the guillotine and the gas chamber. And right now, Trump and MAGA is the gas chamber. DemonRATS and rhinos are the guillotine. So I get that. So please know that whatever they were doing in the beginning, it was a lie to dupe the Negro into joining their efforts to flip Chicago red. But this is why you won't flip it red, because you ain't really about that Negro life like you pretend at those city council meetings. You are about lining your pockets. Miss, thank you for your support and donations to a room full of whites. Miss Danny. You about lining your pockets, and that means you work for the people that are lining your pockets. Now, someone else, I think it was American Freedmen, that said something to the effect of, here we go, money does it every time, so we got to start buying our politicians. Well, family, what we must do is find 100 Marcel Dixons and 100 Pamela Denise Longs, and we've got to put our donations on recurring. $5 a month. Okay? $10 a month, $15, $20, whatever you can afford to budget. When you see someone like a Dr. Long or Marcel Dixon, that is who you put your money behind. You don't just put it behind any old body that ain't got your interest. Like the litany of people the Chicago Flip Red endorsed over Dr. Long, because it was more financially beneficial for them to get in bed with the right REPUGNIKKLANS over endorsing Dr. Long, who had Negroes in mind when she wrote out her platform for all Americans, we were included. So that was one of the things Denise struggled with. She had struggling issues with not just money, but the votes. And when Chicago Flips Red flipped on her, you can see that that Mormon woman, that woman not offering tangibles without a Negro agenda, you see how many more votes she got over Dr. Long. How different could that have been for Dr. Long had they stayed with their initial endorsement of her? Instead of bringing and endorsing non-reparationist candidates onto their platform. So I want to address that too. Thank you. I'll keep going.
The same things that the Democratic Party does. When we have a credible candidate that's going to represent our issues and talk to us about tangibles, they did exactly what the Democratic Party does. They cause division and confusion amongst us. And that's really bothersome to me, because I knew what was behind it. I knew what was going on. And we cannot allow these people to continue to do that. For the first time in my life, I pulled a Republican ballot because I'm following the agenda that I thought we were all on. We're going to flip Chicago red, flip the state, or wherever. If someone is running as a Republican in this state, in this city, that is going to be addressing tangibles as they pertain to us. So they played the same game that the Democrats do. The Democrats don't mean us any good, and the Republicans don't mean us any good. And I'm not going to suggest that we support these people when I know the games that they were playing. They deliberately did this.
Yeah, I want to say something else too. Thank you, Ms. Doris, for that. And that's the other thing, Martin. Like, I
want to address this comment from my MWP baby. White people are afraid of FBAs being equal to them financially. In other words, reparations would prevent white people from being number 1 to dropping number 3 in America. Baby, newsflash. They have not been number 1 in a long time. They've allowed Asians and Indians to come over here. And with the help of our government giving away our reparations to those specific groups, they now outmoney the white man. And so these REPUGNIKKLANS love to sit up here and boast about hiring based on meritocracy. I don't know of a white person that's ever gotten it based on merit. I know of white folks whose family has enriched them because they've stolen from us. They've killed for and stolen from the Negro to enrich themselves and consequently enrich their children and give them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity that we are denied because we've been robbed and killed for it. But like my baby said earlier, I think it was Reps that said, Denise won all of her debates with these white folks. They could not match her. If we had to do this race on meritocracy, Denise would already be in the U.S. Senate. But that's what these white folks and all these immigrants do. They get into this country, climb over the backs of the Negro freedmen, weaponizing our never-ending Holocaust to make it a part of their story. And the government is complicit in giving away our reparations, taxes, and Social Security, and communities, and businesses. And then these 283 million immigrants want to pull up the ladder. After using the ladder to climb over top of us economically, financially, and then want to tell you to pull yourselves up by your bootless straps, unakin to what they did not do, you are expected, since Plymouth Rock landed on us, to pull yourselves up by your bootless straps. While they get to advance off the reparations you were denied, off the 40 acres and a mule you were denied. They pull up the ladder and then tell you to get it on merit. Let's go. I just had to address that. They're plummeting in this country. And you're absolutely correct. If we were given the reparations, we were long overdue into perpetuity akin to the Jews. They'd be non-existent. They wouldn't last because we wouldn't hire them because they don't have the intellect. And yes, they know this. They know they're not smarter than us. All you have to do is look at the 50 or more Black Wall Streets we created throughout the country after we fought and won our emancipation with hardly anything. And what did these glacier donkeys with the help of the government do? They came in and leveled all of it. And then put on the furs and the fine jewelry and the fine garments of the Negro. This is what we're up against. Ergo, my protest vote for deportation, closed borders, till times get better for the Negro freedmen. Till the Negro freedmen is flourishing. A moratorium on mass immigration No more illegal immigration. Deportation. Close the borders. Let's go.
So I could have, but this ain't me, obviously. I could have come in this backpedaling. Yeah, I don't support reparations. I take back the things that I said before, but that ain't me. I stand on what I believe in, and I didn't run on reparations as part of my platform because I wanted to offer something that I believe is truly doable. I didn't want to sell smoke, right? And so I believe that the lineage-based reparations, lineage-based investment is actually doable because 8 out of 10 Republicans who listened to me explain it to them or who looked at the graphic were like, yeah, this actually makes sense. And we'll sunset it. Let's be efficient about it. Let's get it done. Let's change people's family tree, right? And get the thing done. The other thing I wanted to say is I got messages from people who had voted the couch, who said they voted for the first time in a long time because of my candidacy. I had a young woman reach out to me, 33 years old, who hadn't voted since Obama, who voted for me because she'd been watching my campaign and the podcast that I had been doing. I have Republicans, white or Democrats, white and otherwise, say, I will listen to what you say. You make so much sense. I can't pull a Republican primary ballot, but if you make it past the primary, I'm definitely voting for you, right? So those are people who believed in what was being offered from a policy perspective, and 53,000 votes, once again, for somebody who folks didn't really know, is really, and considering all that I was up against, is a good thing. And there are people around the country, including folks in DC, who've reached out to me. There are county chairmen who've reached out to me since then as well. So yeah, it is what it is. And I think there are some people who told me they voted Republican, and the people at their polling place was treating them funny. Like, you sure you want that? Like, you sure you want the Republican ballot? You know you can change your mind and all this kind of stuff. Like, so there's a lot that goes behind this when you look at the numbers. But overarchingly, and this is policy analysts and people who are deep into policy and politics telling me the 53,000 that you got, considering what was going on with your campaign and these people coming after you like that, is really remarkable. And I accept that.
Martin, I had problems here in the Newport where I live. We vote, we vote here in the building. I had problems getting a Republican ballot. There was a Democratic judge who was very openly nasty to me, refused to take some of the information that I was supposed to give to her. I mean, it was an altercation. This was a Democratic judge. And there was an election coordinator who had to intervene. I'm going to be filing a complaint with the Chicago Board of Elections. I've talked to 3 of my friends who asked for a Republican ballot where they voted, and they went through the same things. So the Democrats talk about the Republicans doing this and that. They are both the same when it comes to us trying to advance ourselves and speak up for what we want for our people. They both get in our way. They both throw obstacles in our path. They are the same. And I will not support any party who is not going to, as I said, bring tangibles for my people. I am for my people. I am Black American first. I do not apologize for it. I am going to be calling people out if they do things that I think is to the disadvantage of our people. I'm not blaming anyone for her not winning. I'm just upset because I saw where we could have made a difference. We have the numbers. And we better stop these people from using us. They're using the Republicans and the Democrats are using that Black vote to advance everybody's agenda but a Black agenda. They're fighting for the illegal immigrants. Everybody. No one is talking about what they're going to do for Black people. All you hear them say, I'm going to stop Trump. How? Make that make sense to me. But you want us to vote for you. I'm not going to stand by and watch my people being used by these people. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. I don't care if they're white or Black. It doesn't matter to me. It's about justice, economic empowerment, political empowerment, social empowerment for us. Everybody else is seeking it. So when we push for it, when we ask for it, when we demand it, there's something wrong. It is human nature for you to look out for your own. Everybody does it. But when we do it, it's a problem. And they throw all the obstacles in our way that they can possibly throw.
And I have a question.
So I want to weigh in here. Now, y'all heard Mama Doris tell you what she had to go through just to get a Republican ballot. Now, what she's talking about how the DemonRATS are constantly pointing fingers at the REPUGNIKKLANS for gerrymandering the vote. They do it too. They dilute the Negro vote every time they tell you to put away your ID, or when they weaponize a pandemic for mail-in ballots to fix the elections, or when they hide bags of third-party ballots they get lost missing in an alley somewhere. They do redistricting too. When Texas did it, the DemonRATS here in California did it too. So they love pointing a finger at the REPUGNIKKLANS, but they got 4 fingers pointing back at them. You dilute the Negro vote when you don't support the Say That. And then you want to pretend to be about voter rights as if we don't have IDs, as if we don't have the right to vote, when your whole agenda is to ensure illegals, folks that ain't even citizens, get the right to vote. Once again, weaponizing what our ancestors fought and died for everybody else to advance but the Negro. And then what do? We gerrymander our own votes by voting the couch and playing new Negro roulette with the line. Let's go. American Freedmen said, I was on a live stream with Danny after the election and I asked her to address why they changed endorsement of Dr. Long. Cricket, cricket, cricket. And that's why I'm on a mission to decimate them. Let's go.
Ladies, what is it that we can do to repair this just before the election? All this should start coming out. This confusion just start coming out. Just coming out. And it's like we're being divided. You know, this platform is a platform of Democrats and Republicans, you know, and I'm just for truth. That's what I'm for. You know, I believe in Black Republicans. I believe in Black Democrats. Now, we should have on both sides. That's just me. This is my personal opinion. I'm not putting this on anybody. So what I'm saying is, as long as we're being divided, going at each other's throat, what's next? What's next? What are we going to do? Because we're going to have.
I'm happy to answer that.
Come on, man.
I'm happy to answer that.
Yes.
So for me, and what I've said is it's policy over party. It is policy over personality. And that is what is important. And when I came on your show and the many other podcasts, the CBS Chicago that I was on, the other interviews that I had, the quotations and the Sun-Times and all of that, it was always about policy. And I think people need to take elections more seriously. We could, as Black Americans, could have easily won this Republican nomination. Easily. There were, on the Republican side, a dismal showing of voters. And even on the Dem side, I think it was like 500,000-600,000. That's nothing. There's like 8 million registered voters in the state of Illinois. Black Americans could have won this Republican nomination for a tangible that 8 out of 10 Republicans agreed on easily. Most of my voters were white people from across the state. So they followed up. They came out. Now, there were definitely Black folks in Chicago because people were texting me and calling me and all the things, right? And other parts of the state who voted for sure. But most of my voters were indeed white people.
Wow.
In rural America. And again, when you look across those 102 counties and how I showed it up in those counties, I think there was only one where I came in last. And there were other people who came in after me. There was one where I came in second. I mean, it's just, we could have easily won this. I think we need to quick answer. We need to take elections more seriously. When someone shows up with something specific for your lineage and your group, you need to actually lean in and look seriously at that person. You get occasional shots to win elections. This was an opportunity like no other. It was an off-season election, meaning it wasn't a presidential election. I was a candidate running for the first time, but I have a long record of advocating for all Americans first policy and Black Americans in particular, specifics for us. And it was an open Senate seat. And the Senate can do a lot for people around the country because there's only 100 of us. And I know how to handle myself with an adversary, let's say, an opponent. And I won all of the debates that I participated in, to the point where even the campaign manager, de facto campaign manager for the guy who ultimately won, had to acknowledge multiple times that I did very, very well. And it was clear to everyone that I had the best policies, that I presented myself best, and that I knew how to handle myself. It was truly some people with different perspectives and emotional reactions. Emotionality seems to be a big problem around my advocacy for Black Americans. But you could have,
including the Black Americans in Chicago flip red. And I also want to stress one more thing, that it doesn't matter where the candidate resides. When you've got a unique opportunity to put a Dr. Long in the U.S. Senate, she's not just representing Illinois, she represents the nation for Negroes. We're talking the U.S. Senate, not the Illinois Senate, U.S. Senate. And so I live in California. General Asan Powell, welcome to the line, beloved, is in the DMV. Many of you were all throughout the country. In the same way you helped us with our task force to fight and prevail on lineage-based reparations, this is the same thing we do all over the country. We should have done this for that sister in North Carolina too. When we see candidates that are riding with the Black American Negro Freedmen, you need to support them in phone banking, you need to support them in donations, and you need to vote. This rare opportunity to get someone from the mud in the U.S. Senate that was inclusive of us, and we missed the opportunity, not just because many people in Chicago don't know about Dr. Long, but Chicago flipped red, flipping on her. Had they used their platform to sustain an endorsement for her, she could have been a real contender. So you don't have to live there to be in support of candidates like Dr. Long. Let me address what the General Powell had shared. The U.S. economy lost about $16 trillion over 20 years from 2000 to 2020 due to racial inequality affecting Black Americans. She goes on to say, breaking that down, America loses about $800 billion annually due to anti-Black, specifically Negro, economic discrimination. Now that was based on the Citibank estimate. Okay? So keep that in mind. This is why I keep telling y'all, the government has declared war on us, and we must return the missile with the only commodity we've got left: our votes and our candidates. Let's go.
Said that because there's 1.8 to 1.9 million Black people in Illinois.
And Mark, we're going to just echo back on what she said. We're going to have to come with an agenda, talk about basic on issues. I'm not a personality person. I'm an issue and policy person. And you know, I've been on your show many times, and that's all I talk about. I'm not interested in the personality. I'm interested in the issues and the policies that are going to impact us. When I did not know Desmond Yancey. He's the alderman of the 5th Ward. His office called because they were looking for volunteers. And so I agreed to volunteer for him. But before doing so, I asked to meet with him. Sister Erica and I put together an agenda, Chicago, a contract for Black Chicago 2023. We asked to meet with him. We did meet with him in Hyde Park here at Messler. We presented him to that agenda. He agreed, and he said that he would advance it because we said, you can introduce this as an ordinance in the city council. He assured us that he would do it. However, he went back on what he said. Another thing, if I had known he was an immigrant, I never would have voted him, because the immigrants are only here to advance the agenda for immigrants, legal and illegal. And so when he took his first vote down in the city council for I think it was $17 million they were voting on for illegal immigrants, we begged him. We literally begged him, do not vote for this. You are just getting into the city council. Make your own history down here. And his response to me, well, if I don't do it, they're going to weaponize me. And ever since that day, I have been his biggest opponent, his biggest enemy. And if I have anything to do with it, if Doris Lewis has anything to do with it, he will not get back in that office. And that's what we have to do. When they say and commit themselves to doing something for us and they don't do it, we need to take them out. We cannot spend another 50 years talking about giving these people a chance, because no one else gives them a chance. So these are the conversations that we're going to have. Agenda first, not race first. Not because you look like me first. That does not work anymore. Not for me, never has, but it certainly does not work for us collectively as a people. So to end whatever division or whatever is going on, we have to come together around issues. We got to think about us as a people and the future of our children, as I have always said. So that is how we can start healing and doing what we have the power to do for ourselves. We don't have any other choice.
Beautiful, beautiful. I learned so much from you, Mama Doris, and you and Erica, and even Dr. Long. Just listen to you guys, and even tonight, it's a lot of confusion going on amongst the Republicans, and I'm wishing that you guys probably can work some out. And I agree, policy first. That's the number one thing. All this other emotional stuff, personal attacks, we ought to put that down. We got to get focused, get back focused, because there's other big fish out there that we're going to have to fry. And when we're divided,
and I will say,
go ahead,
the Republican Party has used them. They mean well, but the Republican Party has used them, and they have manipulated things. And this is where that racism comes in. That's what they do, Democrats and Republicans. And we have to recognize that. I know it because I read it, I study, and I'm older. And that's what I say to young people. I went to a meeting tonight of some lawyers and judges, a lot of them young lawyers. And this is the conversation that I had with them. They recognize it. We have to recognize the big elephant in the room. We got.
Let me help y'all understand something. The REPUGNIKKLANS can do no more to CFR than CFR has allowed. They have not used CFR. CFR has allowed themselves to be used. They don't get to be grown, big and bad, and to be treated like infants when it comes to accountability. That's not what we're doing.
Because that elephant is keeping his behind on our necks and keeping us from moving. They have used them. And I told them.
And you know,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Ms. Phillips. I'll say what I was going to say. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead, Pam, if you want to say something. Okay. My thing.
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so here's the deal.
You're on fire
Politics
tonight.
is going to happen too.
Right.
Politics is going to happen. It's either going to happen with you, you're going to drive it, or it's going to happen to you. This fatalism in the Black community, like, oh, it don't matter. Keep telling yourself that. Politics is going to happen to you. And when you have someone running who is representing your interests, who is having an open door. I've had white people call me from everywhere. I had a Haitian girl call me because she's aware of the lineage-based conversation. I can't remember where the woman called me from, Florida or something like that. She heard me on a podcast and she was asking me about unity and what does it look like to honor the legacy of Black Americans when immigrants come here, and how could I be, helpful in making sure that unity happens with immigrants who are able to recognize the lineage of our people and all of that kind of stuff. All kinds of people call me all the time to ask me stuff. People reaching out to me on my website to ask me stuff. Politics is always happening. You have to be involved. Otherwise, you are going to be forgotten about. You don't count if you don't vote, and people going to roll over you. There are people literally, you should learn this from Biden, right? There are people swimming through the Rio Grande and fighting with law enforcement officers at the border to get in here. They are coming here for their own interests. If this is the country that your people built, you need to be willing to claim it. And if you ain't going to run, then you need to get behind the people who are looking to have your back at those seats of power where decisions are made about this country, about your community, about this nation, when it comes to appropriations, when it comes to policies and the like. You have got to be involved. And this was, I'm going to say it, this was a missed opportunity of epic proportions, considering how much effort was put into it. Thousands of miles, many trips, thousands of flyers, many conversations, many yard signs, many interviews, many events that I've been to in Chicagoland. So the folks down south was like, you good, go up there. They need to hear from you, right? So you just got to be involved. This ain't the last election that's going to happen, but this was a significant opportunity that was a low threshold to winning. If you can win a nomination by 212,000 votes, that's wow. Black Americans, there are 1.8 to 1.9 million Black Americans in the state of Illinois. We could have won this easily. And it's not the number of people who've heard my voice, the number of people, Black Americans who've heard my voice, who've read my Newsweek column, who follow me on Twitter X, they've been in my spaces, they've been on this program listening to me talk, they heard me on Afro Elite, not to mention another podcast, but they've heard me on his show, they've heard me on the Hill TV, they saw me on wherever, whatever. You've got to be so engaged to recognize an opportunity when you see it and not let it pass you. And this was a missed opportunity of epic proportions.
And you know what, Martin?
Yes.
Chicago Flips Red brought more attention to the Republican Party than anybody other than Donald Trump. And the reason he brings the ticket is because he's a Republican and the president. They have worked hard. And for them to not respect them, and not understand them supporting one of their own to the point of, I believe, discouraging them in every way possible. It was by design. They knew what they were doing. So no, don't go out and support Republicans who are not coming to you talking about tangible, and no Democrat, no independent, no anything or anybody. I'm tired of us thinking that they can use my people. I stand up for my people. When I've always fought for my people. Every job that I've been on, I got fired for standing up for my people. I was with the Chicago Board of Education 37 years. They did everything they could to fire me. That teachers union, I went against them. But my record speaks for itself. I am for Black people first, always have been, and will be until I die. And will work and help anyone Black who is trying to do something.
Appreciate you. I mean, we moving forward, guys. What is it? Well, Dr. Long said it. We need to put policy over our personalities. That's what we need to do. We have to do that. We cannot afford to miss another perfect opportunity to get one of these power seats. And again, I said 2 parties and 1 system. Now remember, people, no matter what side that we're on, a Democratic side or Republican side, we're fighting against a system that don't want to see Black people as a group to prosper. Now, I'm not saying that America is, you can't do anything, you can't make it in America. No, I'm not saying that you can't. But as a group, we need to win together. And the only way we can fight this system is to unify on policies and doing the right thing and being honest and get our personalities. I've worked with a lot of people that I didn't like, but it was a job that I had to do, and we had to get the job done. And we don't have to like each other in a lot of senses. I hate to use that term, but we have to get the job done. I'm standing for Black people, especially those that are intelligent, articulate, and want to see us win. It's not about the dollar. Now, I could have sold out a long time ago, Dr. Long and Mama Doris could have sold out a long time ago. And we know some that sold out. Don't care if you can't, they'll talk this good talk behind private doors, but publicly, they won't. I used to think like that. I don't think like that anymore. So people, we have to continue to fight this fight. And we cannot never again. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. And here's the other thing I'd like people to think on. So part of my campaign and why it resonated with so many people is that I was talking about constructive things. So I was talking about what we were going to do. When you look at my campaign website, which is longforsenate2026.com, LONGFOR Senate 2026.com, I was talking about policy and problem solving all the time. What I was going to do, how I was going to leverage the Senate to solve real problems. The legislation that I wrote about heirs property, family land and home equity protection, the veterans bill that I wrote, the original intent of birthright citizenship bill that I wrote, and the other things that I put together as well that I would have implemented and proposed for legislation. All of that was constructed to use the power not just to fight against, but to accomplish things for the American people, for Illinoisans, and of course for Black Americans as well, because there is a unique history that needs to be addressed. And again, 8 out of 10 Republicans that I spoke with understood that and agreed with it.
Martin, I took on the weight of Black Chicago because of this woman, because of her knowledge, because of her integrity, because of her tenacity. I took on the weight of Black Chicago. I was all day up into the night in pain to get out literature. I didn't have time to wait for someone to tell me, well, I got to run to the store and I'll be right back and then I'll call you. Or I have to wash, I got to get some washing done. And no, if I'll call you when I get done. I didn't have time for that. This is just how serious this was to me. I was in pain, but I was thinking about my people and trying to get this seat for us because I knew we could get it. I can't explain how much pain I was in, but I was determined. I was determined to keep going until the last hour of the day. I was doing the work of my people in this city, trying to make up for the ones who make up for what we could have done. That's how it affected me psychologically.
Yeah, I probably had anywhere from 10 to 20 volunteers. People had finite areas they would cover. The person who won had 15, according to him. Sometimes he said 10, whatever. But yes, people were working very hard. Ms. Doris put in a lot of work. And I just want to make it clear for the people in the back, I am not advocating that you follow anyone. What I am saying, I don't know why that's not clear. I'm not saying go follow Republicans. What I am saying is you need to be engaged and find the person who's representing the policies that you want to see happen in the way and time and frame that you want to see them happen. I'm on here saying that there are people who are trying to tell you to vote down, like red all the way down the ballot, and then figure out what these people are going to do for you. And that sounds stupid to me. It sounds like usury to me. And that sounds like not what the people have been saying all these years that I've been involved with the activist community when it comes to politics. What they were saying is you need to offer something tangible before we decide to give a vote to you. That means you either bring an agenda for us to review and or you implement the agenda that we bring to you. You don't vote people into office without knowing where they stand on the issues that are important to you. And if somebody is talking to people and they're not asking those people, what are you going to do about this issue, this issue, this issue, and this issue, then they are bringing you someone who they're probably trying to hide it. Do you think Jewish people are going to talk to an elected official and not ask them what they think about Israel? No one would expect a Jewish person to talk to an elected official and hide and allow an elected official to hide what they think about Israel. What are the issues that are important to Black Americans? And you need to be making sure that anyone coming to you as a spearhead or a connector or an advocate or a front man or woman or whatever to connect you to an elected official, if they're not mouthing your issues and asking that elected official specifically what their position is on it, that elected official is hiding their real intent from you because they're not addressing it. And the person who is stopping talking about your issues and bringing you someone who is not talking about your issues is a shill for whoever they are bringing to you. And I thought we were done with shills. I thought we were done with people who are bringing folks to us who aren't bringing specific policies. Maybe I'm wrong, because let me know. Am I wrong? Are we on that now? What's the deal?
That's deep. That is so deep.
That's a serious question. That's a serious question. Are we now accepting candidates who don't talk about their policies before we vote for them? Are we now so upset that we're going to vote for them no matter what, not knowing if they're going to be worse than the people we're voting out? That sounds politically immature, emotional, and reactive to me. And I thought we'd grown a little bit.
That's deep.
And that is why they show so much disrespect for us, because that is the way we behave. They get angry if we ask for tangible policies that are going to benefit us. They have taken advantage of that for the last 40, 50 years, and we have allowed them. And going forward, we cannot allow these politicians to keep doing what they're doing to us. And everybody is advancing economically, politically, educationally, but us. We have to stop them. And it's only us who can stop them. We only us, no one else. They're not talking about tangible. They're not talking about issues. Tell them to get away from you. Don't disrespect you. because they are totally disrespecting us, all of them, Black, white, Republicans, Democrats, Asians, everybody, because we continue to allow it. As I said on this program, it is not about me. I could be down in Destin, Florida someplace.
I heard that. And so I want to just be clear. I've been a Republican since 2008. I am an independent minded grown ass woman. I'm 53 years old. I vote for who I want to vote for. When a candidate or an elected official in my party is tripping and acting off principle and doing things that are not aligned with American principles, making sure the Constitution applies to everyone, honoring Black American history and preserving it rather than restricting it, I call them out for that. And I've done that consistently, and I still got 53,000 votes, because when you look at my background, when you look at what I have said, I've called out everybody: Trump, people in his administration, Biden for the mass immigration, Kamala for being Black sometimes and Asian sometimes and flipping between the two. I called out people of color for coming over here and shoehorning into our legacy. I called out all the things, and I still got 53,000 votes with people who have more media, more name recognition. And I got that support from mostly white people reaching out for me from across this state and donating to me from across this country. So we have to be involved. We have to know how to win these elections. It is a numbers game. And if you don't show up because you fatalistic and you think it don't matter, then guess what? You just lost another one.
Okay.
And that's not just my election, it's general.
I have a question for both ladies. What is it that you guys think that we can do not to ever repeat this cycle, what just happened here with you, Dr. Long? I mean, you gave some answers, but just spell it out to us, Mama Doris. One of you guys, what is it that we can do collectively to not to ever let this happen again? And like you said, Dr. Long, this was a perfect opportunity. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. Stop thinking. So I get the collective. I get it. But here, act like everything depends upon you. You get involved. You do the research. You look at a candidate when they show up. You see if they're talking about your issues. You tell your friends about what you found. You share their social media posts. You make sure you're registered to vote. You make sure that the people around you ask them, are you registered to vote? This candidate is talking about bop, 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 and boo. The election day is this day. Early voting starts. You be engaged, and you charge the other people around you to be engaged, and you share the information as well. And that's how the social contagion becomes a collective, is when every individual takes ownership of their part in the outcome.
You know, it reminds me of the movie Aquila and the Bee. Everyone in that community get involved in her success, get involved in her winning that spelling bee. Everyone in the community. They did whatever they could. Somebody on the sidewalk would call out a word, or somebody in the barbershop. Everyone took responsibility for her becoming a winner. And as Dr. Long has said, that is what we're going to have to do. And we can do it. And it doesn't take a whole lot to do it. It doesn't take a whole lot. It just takes you being concerned about your plight in life, where you want to be, where you want your family to be, what you want for your children. Start right in your home and ask your family, what do we want for each other? What do we want for our children? Then go about the business of doing what you need to do. If your neighborhood has trash all over, then take responsibility. Even if it's one person, it will catch on. But we have to take responsibility for our lives and our plight in this world. No one is going to do it. Stop sitting around waiting for somebody else to do it. If the neighborhood is dirty, let everybody get involved. We got to clean house. That's how we have to think, because it is really about our survival. Because these people are coming into this country, and the government of the United States, Republican and Democrats, are making it possible for them to be successful at our expense. Stop giving away our culture. Stop people from co-opting our culture. I just mentioned the Somalians down there on Edmund Pettus Bridge talking about they're going to take it, they're going to advance it. No, that is not your legacy. It has nothing to do with you. And we must call these people out. No, we're the only people who let people come in and co-opt our history, our culture. We're letting people, Africans, play Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. No, we want Black Americans playing that role because it's about our experience. It is not about an African's experience. It's about Black Americans' experience. So let's stop these people from using these other people to play our role, to take over our culture. Don't go to the movie. When you see it's about Black Americans and they got a Nigerian playing the role, don't go. Then you do the same thing when it comes to politics. We've got to have these discussions every day. Every day we need to have these discussions. Because if you throw up all 26 of the alphabet and let them fall down, whichever one you catch, if it's C, you can talk about criminal justice. If it's E, you can talk about education. If it's P, you can talk about policy. If it's G, you can talk about government. It's not hard to do, but you got to get involved and take responsibility for yourself. And then it grows to the collective. It's not hard to do. And as Dr. Long mentioned, get rid of that fatalistic attitude. Don't just accept somebody's no answer when you know it can be yes. You question them. We can do that.
Wow. This is something. Ladies, it's been a long night, and I'm just thinking, what do we do to move forward? And we have to continue to push the Black agenda, as well as the American agenda as well. I believe in that as well. And if not, we're going to wake up one day, and it's Black people, we're going to be in the back seat. Definitely going to be in the back seat. And it's not.
We are strapping it.
Yeah, we're strapping it.
It's our government.
Mm-hmm.
It's our government.
Black people are already on the bottom. Black people, the Negro, the Black American Negro Freedmen is already on the bottom. Just look at any metric, any of the metrics in this country, and you see where your people are. That's like folks sitting up here talking about by 2053 we'll be wealthless. No! We're wealthless now. Look to your left and to your right. Do you know anybody that's wealthy? We need to stop lying to ourselves. Because it's those lies that make the lineage keep kicking the can and not doing what has been recommended and voting the couch instead of eking you out a tangible called deportation, closed borders, and a protest vote against the DemonRATS. It's already happening.
We don't have another government. It's our country. I don't have another country. So when somebody tells me, well, you can leave, I'm not going into place. My ancestor built this one. Why am I going to leave all this luxury that my ancestor built and go someplace and struggle? Why?
And like I said in my previous broadcast, as the nation becomes California, where is the Negro going and with what? You've got to fight for the only country your ancestors built with their very lives. Their blood and their bones are in this soil. You've got to fight so that our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will have a country. And you've got to turn away from these fantasies about going to the Caribbean and Africa when them folks is lining up for visas to get into the country you've already built. They fled their Holocaust to tether onto ours because our ancestors have already done the work. And you got a government that's working in tandem with these melanated immigrants to erase and replace the Negro under flat blackness. Their numbers are growing because they're only bringing in mostly educated, moneyed immigrants, and they want to pit them against us to try to make it appear that they're brighter and wiser than us. They want to compare the least of us to the wealthiest of them, bringing them in with nuclear families, the kind we used to have, and trying to convince the Negro who descend from the emancipated that these people with privilege want America more than you do. That's why they love for you to be on this Pan-Africanism. When Negroes have been the only one practicing the RBG. These Africans and Caribbeans ain't been practicing that. They want what their governments have for them, and they want what our government has for us. And all they're doing, about half of them run the congressional black caucuses. All they do is run interference when it comes to doing anything specific for the Negro. All you hear them doing is crashing out over immigrants and illegals, not to mention the Negro. And they want to destiny swap. That's why I say a vote for DemonRATS is a vote for our erasure and replacement with melanated immigrants. She's 100% correct. When you see them starring as you in Negro narratives, you need to withdraw support. You need to withdraw support and boycott. They sitting up here with this dumbass Target boycott for a DEI that only helps 4% of black folk. Nobody can even tell you what percent are Negro of that 4% on the back of the execution of Mr. George Floyd by the pig race soldier Chauvin. Instead of telling you to go on to ScrewTube and learn how to cook your Chinese food healthier, learn how to fix your Mexican food healthier, and starve these immigrants out of our communities. Find the Negro that's doing the braids. Find the Negro that's doing the pedicures and the manicures and the wigs and the hairstyles. But that's not what these coons are encouraging you to do. They're encouraging you to vote against your own interest and to vote in the interest of people who want to destiny swap and to feed their children in our communities while they luxuriate in the communities that we are redlined out of. They take their money home to the birds. Like that woman said at the top of the broadcast, we don't have a clue what these people have to suffer on a daily basis. We are cocooned in the suburbs where they will dare not. You saw them. They was in Martha Vineyard for 5 minutes and they was getting them illegals up out of Martha's Vineyard and dumping these unvetted, unvaxxed smallpox blankets into the Negro community. What's left of it? And that's why what Chicago Flips Red has done has totally, it hurts all of us. What they did with Dr. Long's opportunity to get into a position to help the line has hurt the entire line because of their own selfish interest in lining their pockets through Chicago Flips Red, that is an LLC.
Make any sense to me? This is my country.
Mm-hmm.
My people built it. Black Americans. And everybody is in here eating off our plates and won't say thank you. Claim it, people. It's ours. The bad, the good, and the ugly. Let's try to make it better for us. And when we make it better for us, we make it better for everyone. But we must make it better for us first. Because that's what everybody else is going to do. So that's how we can fix this. That's how we can resolve this. Come to talk about issues.
Solutions, right?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the problems.
Right.
We didn't talk about the problems so long. There are people on Twitter who spend 8 hours talking about the problem. We know the problems.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the solution.
That's right.
Let's form a policy for the solution and whatever level that needs to happen, be it a community level, like what Ms. Doris is talking about, pick up your trash, right? Take care of your neighborhood. If it's talking about the local government level, vote the mayor out because of the shit that he's doing. If it's the federal or state level, what's the policy that's going to be implemented? And you have to have people who are committed in those seats of power. And look, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not expecting an easy ride. I wasn't expecting an easy ride to become U.S. Senator. I wasn't expecting everybody to be like, that scene from the Titanic where they open the door and everybody's welcoming you with a red carpet. Let's be serious here. But we come from fighters. Are you kidding me? We come from fighters. I'm a 7th+ generation American. I don't give a damn what these people think about me speaking well. They say it all the time. You speak well, yes. And the reason people are resonating with me is not just that I'm articulate. It's because the policies that I have and I'm able to explain them in a way that resonates with them. And I've developed policies that resonate with people, right? Like, I don't care what people call me. It's what you answer to. And the goal was for them to be able to say, Senator Long, who's representing all Americans and Black Americans as well. That's the goal. I ain't no punk, so I don't care about they think this about Black people and they think that about so what's new? So now we're supposed to do what? Not run for office? Really? Yeah, I ain't built like that.
I knew you were no punk.
I grew up in Jim Crow South, the land of the Klan. And I stood up then, and I'm still standing. When it comes to Black people and injustice against my people, I'm not that's my DNA. And I use that picking up trash all the time as an example because I'll never forget Dr. Frances Cress Welsing was on WDON, that's been over 40 some years ago. And they asked her, Dr. Welsing, how can we fight racism and white supremacy? And she said, just by going outside and picking up the paper in front of your house. That lets them know that you are about something and you value yourself and you are important. You couldn't get any simple than that.
Beautiful.
So that's how we can start.
Beautiful. Guys, I have to ask you guys a question now. What are we going to do about all these posts I see cutting each other's throat and down talking, down playing? And I don't like it. I don't like it. People, if you with this group, I'm with you. If you ain't with this group, I don't like it. Let's get some policy. Like Dr. Long says, let's get some solutions. What are some solutions? That's what we need. That's what we need, some solutions. And it reminds me of the Democrats. Every Democratic person was screaming, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Okay, give us some solutions. What about Donald Trump? Donald Trump is not in the state of Illinois. He's not in the city of Chicago. He is not running Chicago politics at all. At all. And if we can call Democrats out, we can call Republicans out as well. And some people get mad when we call these party people out. We have to call them out, and we have to insert our agenda in these policies, both sides. And I've always said, Dr. Long and Mama Doris, whatever side you guys decide to be on, please have a Black agenda and push for a Black agenda. Please do. Do me that favor. And I got your back. Trust me, I got your back. And you're welcome on this platform anytime. It's not about the money. It's about the policies. Let's push it, people. And I understand people are going to talk. Go ahead, Doc.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, and see, here's the other thing. Talking is great. So now talking is name recognition. Oh, there's a guy running for Congress in my district. Okay, there's more to do after that. Connect with that person on their website. Donate to their campaign. Volunteer to get the word out. Share their platform. Make sure you're registered to vote. Tell other people about them and say, check out this person, see if you can vote. Follow up with people. It's active. You have to be actively engaged in order to win these types of things. So again, the conversation, the awareness on the platform, the interview is just the beginning. Literally, it's just the tip of the iceberg. The rest is getting in there and doing the work that I just described. And the voting is a culmination of that awareness that started with the conversation. But the conversation ain't all of it. Conversation is just the tip of the iceberg.
Appreciate you. I had a show not too long ago, Mother Dora, she wasn't on it. I know Dr. Long, she heard a little bit of it. And I was asking, that's why we have a lot of politicians, when they get into office, we don't get anything. They don't risk their careers for us. They don't risk their job, their life, or nothing for us, Black people. I'm speaking to us Blacks now, because we don't support. We don't support. We have to support people. And I found out in life, people that don't vote are the biggest complainers, the biggest whiners that don't vote. They're the biggest complainers. And we have to be careful, people. We have to stay humble. And when we allow people to elevate us, we cannot forget where we come from. We have to help our people. We have to. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying give your vote away because the person is Black. But when you find a person such as Dr. Long, that's not only Black, but is well qualified, overly qualified, that was no excuse at all, especially for us Black folks. And a fighter. Had us in mind. Had us in mind. You know, a lot of people
on Front Street.
Yeah, up front. And I always say this, ladies, forgive me for saying this, a prostitute know better. She gets her money up front. Some of us, we give up the goods and don't get nothing. And hopefully the person give us the money, give us something when we put them in. We can't continue to roll like that, people. On either side, on the Democratic side or the Republican side. We just can't hand our vote over and expect something without a demand. We have to demand, put it in writing or something. What is your agenda for Black people? We need to know that. How are you going to include us in your agenda, in your American agenda? Period.
Oh, and you know what? We've got to stop white people from playing games with us when it comes to us voting for one of our own. You shouldn't vote for someone because they're Black. You should vote for someone because they're qualified. Well, they vote for white people all the time who are not qualified. So we've got to stop them from playing these games with us. That's another thing they do. Don't let them play these games. Everybody wants to make us feel guilty. About what? We don't have anything to feel guilty about, because we're saying we want people to do for us if we vote for them, and take these politicians out. It's time. I'm going to call out anyone. Yeah, I'm dissatisfied with the decision that Chicago Fifth Red made, and in this case, Zoe made in terms of supporting someone over Pam. Don't let people take over your organization and try to influence you to do otherwise. They wouldn't let you do it. It's your organization. You all made that organization. You all have worked extremely hard exposing the system. Take back your organization from these people. If they want your support, then they have to follow your agenda. Don't let them come in and give you an agenda. That's what these Republicans did. I don't like what they did, because those ladies have worked hard.
This is where I part ways with Dr. Mama Doris. Nope. I just played at the top of the broadcast. They are paid by these white folks. They are supported by these white folks. These white folks can't make these grown-ass women betray and undermine one of our very own, who's actually got a lineage-based investment plan with us in mind. Immediate relief. To rescind all of our monies that they're spending on these immigrants and illegals alike, that was always intended to make us whole. They do not get a pass. I give zero damns about them weaponizing our never-ending Holocaust for their name and lights, for their pockets to be lined as an LLC. This is very intentional. And I believe was the plan all along. So Mama Doris can give them credit, but I see the grift, because I've been through enough of them since co-founding the contemporary grassroots reparations movement. I see the grift. She's giving them way too much credit, in my humble opinion. They know full well what they're doing to line their pockets.
support them. And you Republicans, you use them. And I don't like it.
They allowed themselves to
And
be
I will
used.
forever speak out.
You're supposed to.
Yeah, Black Americans need to realize.
Good, Doc.
Go ahead.
No, I'm
Black Americans need to realize. Black Americans need to realize we're the main characters here. These people who are coming into our, regardless of party, they need our vote.
Absolutely.
That means that you need to be telling them what your vote is worth. For them, the vote is worth the job. But for you, the vote needs to be worth specific policy. And if you're telling me that you ain't willing to give specific policy in order to get the job, guess what? You're fired. You're not even hired. That's how this is supposed to work. From what I understood the community to be doing all of these years, when they talked about no tangibles, no vote. When they talked about the down ballot strategy, whether you agreed with it or didn't, the point was you need to be bringing an agenda to us for us to review and approve, or you need to be adopting our agenda. That was what the social contract was supposed to be, to get the Black vote and for us to even come into a room, to come into a room with you. It needs to be about what the Black agenda is. Because otherwise, what are we showing up for? For you to tell us that we need to vote for you for what? And I'm not saying don't vote, but what I am saying, voting is an exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
My vote's for sale. Wasn't that the language people was using? Where all that go all of a sudden? Are we that desperate, really? Because you're going to hire people and you don't know what they're going to do, but you want to get rid of some other folks and you already know what they're doing. I don't know how you make that decision. I don't know how you decide blindly on replacing the devil you know for a devil that you don't. And look here, and a devil that you don't know who you already should know, because look at what they did. They put up this woman, they had no political bona fides, that was stumbling all over herself for most of the campaign, put up by a man who was specifically talking about me putting an X across my face on my flyer and posting it. Don't sign her signature. She's not a real Republican. I've been a Republican since 2008, and I believe on those words in Washington, D.C., where it talks about 2 score. And how many years ago? That was my people. So I get to decide who's a goddamn Republican more than anybody else gets to. You already have the receipts on who these people are based on how they showed up in this election. And you're going to go into a room with them out of desperation? Baby, please remember who you are. You're the main character. They want your vote. They need your vote, all of them, in order to win statewide. And certainly to win the districts where you're the majority.
That's right.
And hell yeah, you should show up to vote. And vote for them if they're giving you what you want. And look at their record, because you know they're liars. Have they said anything against your priorities before they were running or while they were running? And you think that they ain't gonna do that when they get in? Have they said anything for your priorities? Or have they been hiding? You ain't found nothing about your priorities. You better ask them up front.
That's right.
Deep conversation, people. This is a very serious
Well,
conversation.
all I can say is that I was fighting for us, fighting to get Dr. Pamela Denise Long in for us, specifically, that was going to benefit everybody in the state of Illinois and the United States of America. That's all I was fighting for. That's all. That's all I know to fight for. If I'm going to be in this arena, I don't know anything else. I was fighting for us, to empower us, to help those women who've been fighting and highlighting the Republican Party more than the doggone Republican Party and did themselves. They brought attention to the Republican Party. How dare you? How dare you disrespect them that way? I know what you did. I know what you did. And you devils won't get away with it. Like Dr. Long said, you need our vote to win. So the Republicans need to make up in their minds. Do they want to win with our votes and bring us some tangibles? Or do they want to BS us and try to win our votes without any tangibles? Well, I'm here to say you will not win. And we need to send the same message to this damn Democratic Party, because I'm fed up. I am fed up with these people using my people. And look at our condition. We're in worse condition now than we were 65 years ago. Our neighborhoods are shambled, disintegrated, bringing everybody else into our neighborhoods and giving them the resources that they need to make it. Taking our tax dollars, taking care of illegal immigrants. talking about we want a better future for our children. Well, we want a better future for Black children. And we are going to have to be the ones to make that decision. Get up and do what we are supposed to do. Stop complaining. Get rid of the fatalistic attitude and take back your power. We have the power.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I mean, this show has been, nothing but love, explanation and all that. We had to call some things out, and not only just in our own personal lives, people, we have to step the game up. We have to step our game up. And we should never miss an opportunity, like Dr. Long said. We could have gotten this one. Just a little bit more unity, a little more hard to push. It could have been ours. You know, there's going to be other opportunities, but we have to take advantage of every opportunity. When we got the right person there with the right smartness, intelligence, and the boldness, no coward. How many people that we've seen, Dr. Long, that get in office that's on fire, but when it comes to our policies that's going to benefit us, they get quiet. They just get quiet. They don't say anything else. We need representation.
How many more opportunities are we going to throw away?
Thank you.
How many more opportunities are we going to throw away?
Right, Mama Doris. That's right. That is so right.
And the other thing I want to just say, and I'll reiterate this, you can't be willing to be bought.
Thank you.
You can't. If you're going to stand on principle, you need to stand on fucking principle. And if you need some groceries or something else, let people know or whatever, but you cannot be willing to be bought, because I can tell you right now, from what I've seen across politics, and including this race, people will sell out because they are desperate. And these folks, Democrats and Republicans, are very used to buying off desperate Black people.
Wow.
Whether you're looking for a limelight or you're literally trying to keep your lights on, you're trying to pay your car note, these people are very, very aware of how easy it is to manipulate you because you're desperate and you're hungry.
Look at the money, Martin, that they put out in the community for the primary election. J.B. Pritzker put millions and millions and millions of dollars in our communities. J.B. Pritzker could not be governor of the state of Illinois if it were not for Black people. What is Juliana Stratton going to do? What are these people going to do? They've been in office how many years? What is Tony Preckwinkle going to do other than raise our taxes? What is Brandon Johnson going to do? All these Black faces. Yes, I'm pissed off. All these Black faces, Black aldermen, Black. And look at our communities. Our children feel helpless and hopeless. All this crime, that stuff is engineered by policies. If you don't have a way to take care of yourself and your family, you're going to do whatever is necessary to do that. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. These organizations, Urban League, NAACP, individuals, Sharpton and the rest, I don't like these people. I never have. But these are the people who are fighting for everybody but Black people. I went to a meeting tonight of some judges and some lawyers, and this is what I brought to their attention. We need that legal arm to stand up for us, to go into these courts, to challenge these policies. These are Black people in these positions, and if they can't do it, we need to get them the hell out of office. It's just that simple. I think about what they did to me when I was with the Board of Education. They suspended me. I didn't get paid for 7 weeks. They didn't know how. They didn't know my financial condition because I stood up for Black children and Black parents. These people are violent. They're vicious. And these were Black people who did this to me. That Chicago Teachers Union, that is nothing but a gangster organization now. So I don't want anybody saying I supported Chicago Teachers Union and Karen Lewis and all those decisions she made that hurt our teachers. I don't care about Brandon Johnson. I don't care about Al Sharpton. I stopped supporting Reverend Jackson when he went to the rainbow stuff. I don't care about these things because I am only concerned about Black folks. If Black folks don't eat, I don't care if anyone eats. I make that very clear. And that's how we are going to have to start thinking. about our survival. Stop letting these people play these games with us. We could change this in one election. A clean sweep. One thing I like about what Chicago Flips Red did, they went throughout the community showing all of these political signs and you abandoned buildings. And this one is running. Burn down buildings. Neighborhoods look like a bomb has been dropped and all you see these signs with black politicians running. Yeah, those women did the work. But I am disappointed. I am hurt. And I don't care who does not like it, because it's not about me. It's about us as a people. I don't know how many more times I have to say this. Like I said, I could be in Destin, Florida, laying up on that pretty white beach and looking at the beautiful water of the Gulf of Mexico. But I'm still fighting. I'm fighting for the future of our children. And I mean, it's no more I can say. There's no more I can say.
Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you guys for coming on here tonight, and we upset some people
Thank you,
tonight.
Martin.
No problem. We upset
Thank
some
you,
people
Martin.
tonight. You're welcome.
And I hope that the family is listening. The family can hear my passion
Yes,
and the love I have for my people, because I want us to be better, do better.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you guys
appreciate
so
you,
much.
Martin.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
People,
Take care.
thank you. I appreciate you guys for coming on here tonight, and we've said something to clear some things up, get some understanding. And this show wasn't to dog no one. Trust me, people. Y'all know what type of platform I run. If I have a problem with y'all, I'll call you straight out. But I try to give people the benefit of the doubt on this channel. You know, we have to work together, and united we stand, divided we fall, people.
Well, that concludes our broadcast for this evening, y'all. I thank y'all for hanging in there with me. The moral of the broadcast simply is this, family. We are out of time. We've got to bury organizations like Chicago Flips Red. If they're taking in white money, that's because they have white interest. They aren't for the Negro Freedmen advancing. They are no different than the other Crayolas with 3 Ks that weaponize our never-ending Holocaust for their own comeuppance to line their own pockets. They are not invested in weaponizing the vote to advance the Negro off the bottom of this Titanic called America. We need to get to the place where we weaponize our votes and socialize our suffering. We need to get to the place where we unass our couches and stop playing Negro roulette with the line. We need to get to the place where our children and our grandbabies and our great-grandbabies, what are we going to leave them? Now, Mama Doris is an exception, and there are many boomers that are exceptions, but there are far too many that continue to hurt and undermine the rest of us by continuing to vote blue no matter who, no matter what, to our own ethnic cleansing. And so you have got to be invested in your own survival in the country of your ancestors that everybody wants access to. They want to destiny swap. And you must not allow it. You must starve them out of existence in your communities. You must rescind your dollar. You must rescind your support. It don't matter if it's a Negro Crayola with 3 Ks or a melanated immigrant with 3 Ks or a POC Crayola with 3 Ks or a white. It don't matter. Remember, there's 283 million of them, 50 million of us, and we are the swing. And so we must eke ourselves out a tangible, and we must weaponize the vote against the DemonRATS. which is how we got to bottom caste in the country of our ancestors. They have leveraged our reparations, our taxes, our Social Security, and our votes to ethnically cleanse us and our justice claim. You must support candidates that have you in mind, like a Dr. Long, like a Marcel Dixon. You must phone bank. You must donate. Put it on recurring. You must vote. You must encourage the people. If you're out of state and you know people in Chicago, you must encourage them to vote. Many of my hosts in the my co-hosts in the chat, I see them busy at work every day. I share American Freedmen. Love my folks. Perry. I share anybody that's doing the work in the social media spaces. I'm constantly sharing and tagging why we must upend the DemonRATS and why we must starve the immigrants out of our communities. Everybody is using and eating off the Negro, but the Negro. You need to get back to love, marriage, and Negro babies before these ninjas with money and the ones that ain't got none extinct the line and continue to marry, to not even marry, have babies with Becky, Maria, and Ling Ling to whiten what's left of the Negro line in this country. We must get back to the basics of love, marriage, and Negro babies to continue the line. You must understand, and understand that the fight we're having right now, we may not see the fruits of it, but it's for our future. It's for our children, our grandbabies, and our great-grandbabies. No different than what our ancestors did when they fought and won our emancipation, civil rights, and affirmative action. That's our work now. And I'm not going to drop the ball on my line, and neither should you. I'm not dropping the ball on my line or your line. So we've got to upend Chicago Flips Red and withdraw all Negro support. You don't wait till they got 70 years like the NAACP to decide they ain't doing nothing for you, or years in the game like a National Urban League, National Urban League. You cut this cancer out the minute you spy that it is a cancer. It is up to you to extract it, to unfollow, to unsubscribe, and to withdraw all of your support financially. So with that being said, we've had a long broadcast. I'm going to do my declare and decree and then our prayer protection and let y'all retire for the night. I think I see a couple more comments. Thankfully, I was able, because I was weighing in on Martin. You want to follow him, give him a follow as well if you'd like, at Martin G. Johnson. That's his name of his channel. He's out of Chicago. If you'd like to hear more of what he's got to share. I don't forgive Chicago Flips Red, and I'm not going to make excuses for them. They're not children. They're fully grown with an agenda for their welfare. Let me see. Somebody shared a comment about that. Here we go. Love my folks. Chicago Flip Red leader Zoe said that if they settle her case, she'd move on. Danielle, I think sincerely wants change, but I don't think she want to be a politician, nor is qualified. So they ain't really that invested. I'm going to go down and capture the last few comments. DJ Black says, sellouts will do whatever for $1, even hurt their own. Let it be known. Love My Folks says, I agree with Mama Doris. Black Illinois could change overnight, but there's no voter engagement. The work is offline, touching the people before election season. Across the country, we need a mental shift. Well, I think we need both online and offline. And when you got the numbers, you definitely need to be boots on the ground. Okay? We don't have the numbers. When I was out here, boots on the ground, my flyers got tossed on the floor because I was mostly talking to melanated immigrants who cosplay and want to destiny swap with Negroes. Love My Folks says, you know, CFR since then has went on Martin's show to give their reply. They said Pamela didn't show up to their stuff and that she scared white people with reparations. Well, there's a whole lie, Love My Folks. You got to listen to the top of the broadcast. And is her living 8 hours away round trip? Is that reason to flip on her? Or would a more plausible reason be that you are getting donations from these white folks as exhibited by the top of my broadcast? Danny, out of her own mouth, thanked them for their support and their donations. Which do you think is more plausible? Her feelings that she couldn't make it 8 hours round trip to all of their events? She got 53,000 votes without their support. She didn't do that by osmosis, sitting in a lotus position. Yeah, they've been on Martin's show talking crap, but that's not a strong enough reason. That's the reason she gave me on the phone. That she didn't show up to their events when I've already shared in the broadcast. They didn't invite her to many of the events. They're lying and saying that she didn't attend. Mama Doris stood in her place for events where she was trying to get from one campaign trail to an event at a library and was late. She did her best with very little money. So do you think that's a plausible reason to abandon your endorsement for her and get in bed with a white Mormon woman that has money who don't offer no tangibles for Negroes? See, they leave out of Martin's production how they stole her intellectual property and gave it to this white woman who came in second. They know good and well she was not on reparations. She was on lineage-based investment, meaning withdraw all the money the government is giving away to immigrants and illegals to erase and replace us and put it back into the Negro line where it should have been all along. And 53,000 mostly white folks agreed. So like I said earlier in the broadcast, not sure when you got here, they tell a bunch of half-truths. And a half-truth where I come from is a whole lie. CFR originally led with black people, this and that, and now they aren't focusing on black people's needs. Baby, they were never focused on our needs. That's the grift. When you've been moving with the contemporary grassroots reparations movement for as long as I have, you can see the grift once it's exposed. The grift is no different than the DemonRATS. Let's weaponize the Negro never-ending Holocaust at these city council meetings and pretend to be for reparations until we can get in bed with MAGA and get the donations from them. Because wherever you get your donations from, wherever you fred from, that is who you work for. So from the time they infiltrated Chicago Red, P. Ray Easley's organization, that's when the grift started. Now, there's a couple of exceptions here. I'm not going to include Miss Jessica Jackson or Mr. George Blakemore. I have heard nothing from them. I didn't see them on that stage that I shared at the top of the broadcast. Those were two people I don't know to be affiliated with Chicago Flips Red. So there's a fly in the buttermilk here. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. And they've chosen to be quiet. So I'm not including them. When I talk about Chicago Flips Red, I'm specifically talking about Zoe and Danny. Because theirs are the names on that LLC. Who else's name is on there? Let me see. I've been doing a little digging. So you got to decide what you're going to believe. Folks that's getting their pockets lined by white tee folks, are you going to believe in what I'm telling you? You can pick a side. I don't care. I know what I'm saying is the truth. And having your feelings hurt that she didn't come to your little things that you never invited her to, and Mama Doris stood in her stead when she was late, is not grounds enough to throw away the whole line to come up on white folks in the Repugnant Klan party. That will never be a sufficient enough excuse. It wasn't when me and her talked on the phone. It ain't right now on Martin's show. So let me tell you who's all on the LLC. Just a second, I'm scrolling through some notes. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Okay. This is let's see here. Okay, funds are being raised for the purpose of influencing elections, which is activity typically requiring registration and reporting under Illinois campaign finance law. Okay? The organization publicly endorses candidates, promotes electoral outcomes, uses political disclaimers such as paid for by Chicago Flips Red. Public reporting identifies individuals associated with the organization, including Jessica Jackson, Patrice Stewart, Zoe Lee, Danielle Carter, and David Mason. Yeah, I highly recommend watching the replay. Love my folks. But these are the people that are undermining us in this LLC from my research so far. Brandon Johnson must be laughing at CFR after always giving him the business. Well, they are a joke. I came in late, so I'll watch this replay later. Thanks, baby. Yeah, I know CFR is on that bull. With that being said, family, I'm going to retire us for the night. I've got to prepare for travel. I want to thank you so very much for joining me. Let me read my declare and decree and pray us out. I declare and decree that the highest form of righteous judgment is served over all corrupt beings of the government, Chicago Flips Red, and organizations of that ilk, judicial system, including the police officers, CPS Child Protective Services, judges, attorneys, FBI agents, the CIA, and all personnel working for the U.S. corporation with 3 Ks with wicked intentions. All hidden corruption and agendas are now destroyed forevermore, in spirit and in flesh, in sleep and in awakened states, across all timelines, realms, and dimensions, known and unknown. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever the Black American Negro Freedmen and its allies are, God truly is, because, family, you are the face of God. Yes, you are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until we meet again, family, I want you to make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your Sunday night and work week. And until we meet again, family, I'm believing for each and every one of us a ton of peace, love, reparations, deportations, and delineation, y'all. Thank you so very, very much for joining me live. Peace, good night, family. Thank you.